Hello, early birds. Who's here? Deidre. Lordly Canthrope. Eden. Hi. Master Noodle. Hello. Got the full combo of Queen by Canaria last night. It's only Amana's cover, so I full comboed that one. Okay, cool. Thanks. Hello, Brain Rot. Also, Gory. Hello. Adorn. Hello. Ammonium. Hello. Pertenebras. Hello. The early birds are here. King Kerber Sunbeam. King Kerber Sunbeam. And Ammonium. Hello. Sunny. Hello. Creamy Asteroid. Der Schlund. Greetings. Welcome to the stream. It's a first time chatter. Hello, Rami. Yeah, are you ready to drink ibuprofen with me? Actually, we're gonna watch like I just want to watch like the latest news about the trade war, because you know the trade war is going to affect everyone. So as much as I don't want to, like, you know, as much as I sometimes really cannot take having to watch the news all the time, well, we have to, because our lives are at stake here. Hold on, let me just switch my scene. Hello, everyone. It is I, the great apple, with the best girl by my side, and the best cat flying around behind us. Fun times ahead for all, yeah. Don't care, I boycott US. Wait, Deidre, where are you from? Congrats to China for cutting back 90% on American oil, though. That is true. Where are they buying oil now? From Russia? Russia and which country are they buying oil now? Are they buying from Iran? I actually don't know the nitty gritty on... Oh, in Europe. You're in Europe. Okay, cool. Which part in Europe? And also Catboy Summer, hello with a Kirby. That is a cool Kirby. Kirby Commissar. Okay, it's a comrade. Commissar Kirby. Hello, Hack. Welcome to the stream. I just got home, actually. I got home like 30 minutes ago from work. Like I usually walk from the station to my house, so my feet are still tired. I still feel so tired. And then I got off from work to work again. So I am working again. But this is the kind of work that you know, it's the fun kind of work, you know. Oh no, Kirby ate a tanky. Tadaima. I think you can say, I will say tadaima and you can say okaeri. Tadaima imps. I think they're buying Canadian oil. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that is true. I think I heard it mentioned that essentially the US China imports product from the USA are not as, you know, they can be replaceable. but not so much in terms of like the United States, because China has, like, the rare earths and all the, what do you call this, the electronics and shit. Oil from Russia, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Canada. Are they going to spread freedom again for the oil? I have a feeling that there's gonna be another freedom campaign. Because trade wars lead to real wars. So we have to be really careful. That's why I'm pretty much like trying to be more vigilant about what is going on. Because, my God, are we really ready for another World War? Are we really ready for a World War III? So, no, I don't. Yeah, baby, Burger Reich is on its track. That is true. Hello, Dark Palachin. Coolest US would attack Europe, would they? Yeah, I mean, they would literally create a boogeyman just to they would create like a boogeyman just for the United States to wash its hands clean and be like, "Oh, we got nothing to do with this, and we got this country to blame, not us. We're just spreading freedom. So, as always, it's the United States playbook. So, we will tariff their burgers easy. Yeah, creating a boogeyman is kind of their MO. That is, yes, that is oh so true. Unfortunately, we have to suffer that. Like, it's yesterday it was the Chinese. No, wait a minute. They were actually, they demonized the Chinese before, the Chinese immigrants back in pre World War II, like in the early 1900s, and then again now, it's the Chinese again. Spreading freedom by force. Exactly. That is, it's only freedom for me, you know. Terrorism for thee. Guys, believe me, Iraq have WMD. They just bury them in their oil field. Yeah. So that's why you had to really invade Iraq just to make sure, and then you got all of their oil reserves just to make sure that there are no WMDs. Oh no, sir. It might be my mistake, but I think you scheduled for EST 9 a.m. is wrong because of daylight savings. It's 10 here. I keep getting an hour early. Oh, okay. Wait. Oh yeah, you have that stupid daylight savings now. I have to bring it back, right? When did it start turning back again? Cause I think this schedule that I have is, I just copy pasted it from January. So when did you guys change back? When does the daylight savings change? What the fuck? Even if they don't have them, we still have to attack them just because. Yeah, because, they're terrorists. Obviously, know. Are you dumb? Like, of course we're gonna attack them because they're bad, because they're not Americans. Inherently, they're bad because, Islam, the Muslims. EU like 3 weeks ago, US longer ago. Wait, why does EU do daylight savings? Like, why are y'all so insane about this? Like, I don't really, I hate it so much. Like, why do you do this? I'm ESTA and I say just ignore it. It sucks. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I gave you the wrong time. I that went over my head. Like it's my bad because I really don't know when you guys went back. Daylight saving starts March 9th. Okay, wait. I'm a month late. I've been scheduling my time wrong all this time. The fuck? Well, at least you guys are early, right? Or is it late? Oh my god. I don't even know. It rains oil on Titan. One of Saturn's moons needs some freedom. They bag as they ain't white. Yeah, guys, they are Arabs. They eat babies and rape dogs. Believe me, bro. Oh, yeah. 40 beheaded babies? But somehow they couldn't find the names. Like where are the parents of these so-called beheaded babies and who are they? Twitch schedule says you're right on time, Mana. Oh, for real? Okay. We voted to end daylight savings, and some judge for the aristocracy was like, nah. Wait, who the fuck did that? Like, you should like. It's almost like you need another revolution. It's almost like it's always the aristocracy that makes people's lives always harder. Even now, telling the time is like so arbitrary. It's so wishy washy. It's stupid. I don't know. I feel like it's really dumb. It's absurd. I use UTC on my PC instead of local time just to ignore it. Okay, all right. Okay, so it's not just me. So you guys, even you guys who are affected by the fucking daylight savings also find it annoying, just as much as I do. Hello, comrades. Hello, Manapple and Bestie. Yes. Hello, Gista. Yes. The best girl is here on my body pillow. You'll never see the TOS side though. They nabbed a woman? What? They nabbed a woman named Lisa Anderson. Who the fuck is Lisa Anderson? Yeah, I know, right? Where are the bodies? Oh, they ate them. Because they're evil. They're Muslims. They eat babies for breakfast. It's okay. You don't have that shit in Japan, and it's an hour early, so I can still watch. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Thanks for dropping by. Thank you. Thank you. Daylight savings is to make better use of natural daylight. Oh, okay. I mean, we also have that though. We are a temperate country, but Japan doesn't give a fuck. We don't do that here. It's inefficient and it's annoying. Luckily, we don't have that much oil in Romania. Okay. So you won't get invaded by the United States. I'll take two of those. But we do have some rare earth minerals. Ah, oh my god, I know some Autrichian guy who disagree. Okay. It's 5:15 in Eastern Europe right now. Yummy fictional babies. I think it's made up so we have more daylight hours so we can work more. Okay. I mean, I guess we can blame capitalism for that, huh? I guess Japan doesn't need that because daylight savings or not, people are still gonna stay for overtime work. It's just embedded in the culture that people are just gonna work more, so they don't give a fuck about daylight savings. If it isn't Chairman Mana, we've been expecting you. Hello, Zetter. Here's your. Wait, where's the? How do I? Here's your daily. What do you call this? Your daily timeout. Hello, Kerberos. Daylight savings is really annoying. Missed a plane when I was a kid because of it. Yeah, like who the fuck? Like it's so disruptive and it's just not efficient. Like, bro, what the fuck? What even is the purpose of that? Like I get it back then farmers had to use it, but like right now like really? We have science now. I don't know. We have better technology to like gauge things, you know? I don't really understand what the purpose of that is. It takes me a week to readjust every I know, right? It must be really annoying though. Cuz then you have to adjust like your preparation for work, right? Your bedtime, everything. Everything gets moved around. It's so stupid and annoying. It's inefficient. Like if anyone would impose that shit on us here in Japan, I think people would probably have a revolution. Maybe we should do that so that people would become more like socially aware. Cuz yeah, that's right. Your time is going to get affected. You're going to have to do everything all over again. You have to readjust. Takes me a week to yeah, exactly. For me it was the weekend. I still find it weird that it's on Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. You mean like what do you mean dark? Like it was on Sunday and Saturday? Like when it changed? Bussy Baka. All right, that's a sussy name. There's no more daylight savings here in Mexico, but they made the more daylight and the official, and I hate it. Okay, yeah, that kind of sucks. Oh, where I'm from, it's on Friday and Saturday. Ah, those liberals will be on thin ice if they mess with my timeouts. Bussy Baka. Hello, peaceful mole. Are you being a peaceful mole? Are you a mole? Are you an FBI mole? Did you come in peace? Hello, my FBI handler. What's up? How you doing? My FBI handler. Yeah. Right, you're right. It's CIA because it's international. But it's also probably the FBI would join in because I got American audience. So watch out, chat. We have a peaceful mole in the chat. Oh, by the way, Imps, I gotta tell you, I've been really excited playing Monster Hunter, and now I'm level 98. So I can't wait to like rank up some more. I'm farming Zoshia right now. I wanted I wanted to complete actually I'm already complete actually. I already finished collecting the materials for all the armor stuff for Zoshia. I'm dual blade because I like to fly in the air. And also I can because I am dumb when it comes to games, so I just mash the buttons and hope for the best. But to be fair, I've been learning how to like strategize a little bit, so maybe I'm not so mash in like hack and slash anymore. So I'm researching like a better build for like dual blades and shit. You know. Is your Carl pillow does your Carl pillow smell accurate? I cannot say. I can neither confirm nor deny. They paid me in cheese to sell them my country's oil. Inside of a liberal are two wolves, fascist and gay fascist. That is true. Why does it have to be a gay fascist though? Oh yeah, but I mean that's like that's what do you call this? That's quite redundant, isn't it? Because you know, when you scratch a liberal, a fascist bleeds, so it doesn't basically. But that could be an apt like imagery though. Like, oh, you open a lib and then you see a fucking fascist wolf inside. We traded bullets with the Americans back in 2003 to 2006. That's the for real, the realest trade war of all time. Yes, I'm a dual blade wielder. I've been lacking in MH recently. Wait, what is your main? What main are you adorned? I'm a dual blades main. Every time I fly in the air, I remember Levi. Oh my god. I'm definitely a peaceful mole, but I'm watching. Okay. Okay. Damn. Not today, CIA. Now it's Israel, so it's basically the same. Okay. That is true. Oh, you mean you're lacking in your, like the materials? How far along are you guys? Honestly, I think the fascist bleed thing more meant that liberals will always use reactionaries as tools, like the cops. Yeah, yeah. They're not outright fash, but when it comes to it, when you know things are, when it comes down to it, they will never side with you know the actual progressives. To protect their interests and their lifestyles, they will always, you know, fall back into protecting fascism instead. Karl Marx Daki. I've officially seen it all on Twitch. Yes, there we go. Hello, Jolly Pyro. We kept the shells, and most of the stuff we gave was hidden under the ground of the form of, you know. I think I am Hunter rank 97. I just haven't played in a while. Ah, okay. Have you gotten like have you completed your Zoshia? They'll side with whatever is more convenient. He's a mole. Yes, he's surveilling us. The peaceful mole is here to watch us. When fascists start to take power, they will let them. Well, when it's commies, they will fight them that way. That way, we say that liberal are fascist because they can get along with each other. Yeah, as MLK, how he felt about the well-intentioned liberal. Yeah, he especially. I think a lot of the activists warned us about the white moderate. You know, the centrists. Oh, hello, Samuel. A lot of weapons, but it's still, I'll say Charge Blade is what I started. Okay. So Charge Blade is mostly what you're comfortable with. Have you gotten your Zoshia, complete Zoshia armor? Yeah, I was able to do Zoshia and I main Greatsword. Ooh. Man, I don't have the patience for Greatsword. Oh my god. And the timing that you have to do. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Sure, I call you Robocop. You might have fooled the comrades, but I read you like an open book. Alright, so who's ready for some trade war bullshit today? Yeah, I just really wanted to catch up though, because we got a lot of things to cover. So here's me working again, probably until 3 o'clock in the morning. So there we go. I have not made it to the armor yet. Oh, okay. Yeah, you need a lot of like black ember mass. So I had to fight Zoshia like probably 4 or 5 times just to collect all the shit. But you know what I did? I just joined SOS Flare. I always join the SOS Flare. Sometimes we succeed. Sometimes the people didn't know how to deal with like the crystal, the what do you call this? The crystals, right? That you're supposed to destroy them before the big explosion, and people like die a lot from like they didn't know how to deal with that situation. But I learned from experience. You have to destroy the crystals, and also like the commentaries in the game itself. They say, "Oh, we have to destroy it before it fucking kills everyone." Have that part gave me trouble before, like, right? Oh my god, I died a couple of times, and then I learned. I'm like, oh, and then now I learned how to like. I just whenever I'm with a party, all I did was like do the slicing pods, like on the ground, like things that are lying on the ground. I would literally just open wounds using the pods, and then let like the real melee people deal the damage. And then I just do support. I just heal everyone and then give them buffs and shit. And then when like it's on the ground, that's when I attack. Like that's when I do my attacks. And then when it's running around, because I don't know how to do evades like properly yet. So I'm still learning how to do perfect, what do you call this, the perfect evade thing. Because sometimes it doesn't, I can't time it as well as I want to. But I've done it before, but it's just a matter of timing and mastery for mastering, studying the blade. I have studied the blade, imps. But it's really fun because I don't know, for some reason I know how to mount successfully. So I just like open a lot of like I mount the monster, and then I just open a bunch of wounds, and then like do my finishing touch so that it goes to the ground, right? So you bring it down to the ground, and the other people can just like hack on the wounds, right? It's really fun. So that's my job, like in a freaking I take it upon myself that this is my job. I will destroy the crystals, and I would run around with the pods, just annoying Zoshia in the face. I just make lots of wounds in the face. And it gets like a lot of reaction too. Like I prevent Zoshia from like, doing full stuff. Like halt its actions by like annoying it, and opening wounds in the face. I don't know. It worked for me. I mean, now I have a complete set, even for my for my weapon, for the entire like my entire armor set, and then for my palico as well. So I don't think I need to fight it anymore, but I still want to like get more experience from it, because it's kind of nice. Hi, my favorite ML to mouth chan. Hello, Molo guy. Any beer nerds? Okay. Accusing China of being awesome. Big own. A wrong chat. Wait, Creamy, which chat are you chatting right now? That's when it turns into a kid from the UK. Slashy. Your name is literally Batman. You should be good at dodging. I can't beat Dark Souls because I suck at dodging. Yeah, me too. I mean, it's not as bad, but like definitely you need to strategize based on your like capabilities on Monster Hunter. But there are lots of nice people in the community, so I really enjoy it because the players are nice. It's like the least, I feel like in the gaming community, Monster Hunter people are like the least toxic. I feel like. I think you just make straight tanking build in Dark Souls. Oh. I do love mounting and opening wounds. Yeah, it's really fun. I like it. And as like a dual blade, it's kind of cuz like I'm a little bit faster, so I can do it. I can open wounds faster. I'm multitasking too much for my own good. That's true. I love just hunting and having fun. If we fail, we will get them next. Yeah, like it's not a big deal. Like it doesn't make me rage quit because it's like it's the more that you fight the monster, the more that you get better. So it's like, oh, it's nice. Like I know like the movements, the patterns of the monsters now. So I'm like, okay, I can do it this time, and next time I will do this and that, blah blah blah, and which item I should carry, that which items I've been using the most, etc. etc. May Allah awaken the people and help them see the evil doing of Israel and the United States from Comrade Donald Trump, the dismantler of imperialism. May Allah awaken the people and help them see the evil doing of Israel and the United States from Comrade Donald Trump, the dismantler of imperialism. The dismantler of imperialism. You sound like my ex. What the hell? Okay. Oh my god. Oh my god. Uh-oh. What do you mean your ex, Gory? Spill the tea. Why? That's what I like about MH. Yeah, good people helping others and having fun, right? I like this community. I'm so glad that it's like the first actual game that like multiplayer that I really got into, because like it's such a good it's such a positive experience for me. I will admit I was skeptical about the Chinese century, but I really didn't predict the US repeatedly shooting itself in the foot. Yeah, I mean it's really paving the way of the Chinese century. So, if the United States was not like as dumb as, it is right now, like China would have had like obstacles, but right now, like, oh my god, China just didn't have to do anything even. China doesn't need to do much. The United States is already destroying itself from within. I made it on time to more geopolitical dumpster diving. Hello, Sneaky. Yes, you are. Where I'm just right. We're just talking about like Monster Hunter because I'm getting addicted to it. Trump is just girly pop confirmed. That is true. Let's go. 3 months of mana. JD Pond Trump. JD Pond Don. Hey liberals, kills the stock market in 24 hours. Yeah. Kills the stock market in 24 hours just to own the libs. And thanks for like subscribing for 3 months, Angry. United States has always been dumb. That is true, but they're extra dumber. Yeah. God damn, I don't judge. Okay. Oh my god. I'm surprised he hasn't been impeached yet. Nobody's like there's nobody in the opposition, like in the Congress against Trump. So who's even taking up the case? Nothing wrong with knife play between consenting adult. Okay, all right. Let's we're only 30 minutes into the conversation and we're already doing knife play. Let's reserve that for later. Maybe we need the knives like for later. Maybe we need the knives for later. Lenin and Marx trying to build communists through revolution and confrontation against imperialist China. Imperialism. China do nothing when but Lenin and Marx had to crawl so China can run, Trump was impeached twice and we have a limp Congress that can't act because they don't have the votes. Yeah. They're all too busy maintaining decorum while the public prepares their pitchforks to skewer them. That's true. Third time's a charm with impeachment, right? What even is that though? Like nothing is ever happening anyway. So what's the point, What is the purpose? What is the purpose of that? Nothing. Nothing is ever accomplished. So nothing of value is ever accomplished. So what even, What are we doing here, Anyway, hold on. Where's the Let's dumpster dive today. But it's actually mostly I'm going to be watching like Ben Norton from what was that again? Global economy, whatever. Like I forgot his channel. Sorry, Ben. But yeah, it's more of like a leftist perspective of like of about the economy. So I'm not so too keen on watching like extremely dumb shit at the moment. So let's watch like an actual person with like a lot of like knowledge about geopolitics to like get the news from, the latest about the global trade war. Can't wait for Trump to make Kanye the head of the Department of the Blacks. Especially after Kanye's new album was released. Wait, what did he release? What the hell? He released a new album? Welcome, imps, to the trash can we call ideology. Hold on, let me just show the thing that I want to watch with you guys. So let's, like, instead of rage quitting, right? I mean, it would still give you ibuprofen, but it would still give you a reason to take ibuprofen, but not, not because, like, you're gonna be doing a lot of, like, frowning or whatever. But this time around, like, I mean, we're still gonna be doing a lot of frowning, but it at least is coming from an intellectual person. It's not coming from a dumbass bitch. So at least have this one. Okay. I am ready. Are you ready, imps? Let us begin. Wait, let's remove this closed caption. Consternation is consternation. Bro, okay. Alright, never mind. Oh wait, there's no sound. Hold on, let me just
Made in collaboration with Pivot to Peace. Every week, we will be helping you sort through all the propaganda with an independent view of the country we are told to hate, but know so little about. I'm KJ Null.
let me run
These
that
are
back.
this week's. Trump's whipsawing tariff measures have created continual chaos in global markets and consternation in all the capitals of the world. To better understand what is happening and why, today we'll take a deep dive in this week's China Report. Welcome to the China Report, made in collaboration with Pivot to Peace. Every week, we will be helping you sort through all the propaganda with an independent view of the country we are told to hate, but know so little about. I'm KJ No. These are this week's headlines. Vietnam signs 45 business deals with China. Hanoi has signed 45 new business deals with China during President Xi Jinping's official state visit to Vietnam, the first of his three-country tour of Southeast Asia, highlighting the ongoing development of win-win security and economic.
This is actually a good thing.
Cooperation.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that Vietnam and China are even are getting even closer and improving their diplomatic relations in light of this
These
fucking
deals are
shit
likely
show.
to include railway development, security cooperation, transportation, technology transfer, and preferential loans for Vietnam, and possibly the importation of Chinese commercial aircraft. Vietnam is China's greatest trading partner, with a total of $205 billion in cross-border commerce and a key supply chain.
Unfortunately, I have to go to work. Thanks, Mana, for the stream and for your little MH chat. See you all again. Bye, Adorn. Have a good day at work.
Partner.
And thanks for the cheered bits. Let's go. Third world. Let's go. Yeah, let's go. Yep, JD Pondon is working his magic.
However, Vietnam was saddled with tariffs of 46%, currently paused.
Soviet? How about Pro-Viet?
For 90 days, but still one of the highest tariff rates of any country. The CPV and the CPC have strengthened inter-party ties, building on the legacy of the close support that China offered during the Vietnam War, when China sent over 2 million weapons, 15,000 vehicles, 500 tanks, along with 320,000 troops to support Vietnam's struggle against U.S. imperialism.
Fuck yeah.
China now officially has flying taxis. China's civil administration has now authorized the operation of pilotless electric flying taxis.
We still don't even have what do you call this? E-payments all over Japan, and China is already doing this. What the fuck? You can literally pay like your groceries with or whatever shopping type shit that you're doing in China through your face. Like they have a facial recognition shit now to pay for your stuff. Like you literally don't have to bring your wallet or a card. So chances of you getting robbed is 0, but also it's in China, so I don't think they don't have as many crimes anymore. Like petty crimes like that. Because you know why? Like, you know how you reduce petty crimes? You just improve people's material conditions. So, the improvement of the material condition of the common people would, significantly reduce petty crimes. Funny how that works, bro.
In 2 Chinese cities, Guangzhou and Hefei. This is the first approval of commercial autonomous air taxis in the world. The Civil Aviation Administration of China has granted air operators.
Obviously, you cannot remove crime completely, but it will significantly reduce people, reduce the number of desperate people that need money to buy necessities, right? So some of them would commit petty crimes like robbery and stuff like that. So obviously, right? It makes a lot of sense. Like, why can't people see this logic? It's very logical. Why? It's there. It's right there in front of you and people can't see it. What the fuck? It reduces the determiner for petty crimes. Right. Like, because people don't need to do that. Because all of their bare necessities are already there. They're when their needs are met. Nobody has to like nobody would have to go out of their way to do anything. Why would they destroy a perfectly good life, you know? Because Protestant ethos? What do you mean privacy? What do you mean that from the birth of civilization people understood that poverty creates more crime? America is the Jews and the problem, right? I know, right? You see more guns and the problem will solve itself. Yeah. You know what prevents a bad guy with a gun? A good guy with a gun. Therefore, we need to arm everyone. Another way would be to decommodify food. That is true. But that's, like realistically speaking, right, Malo? That is not achievable yet because, under capitalism, food will always be a commodity. So, arm the children. Arm the children and let them work in the mines. Let the children yearn for the mines, Well, how would they have time to rob people if they are suffering from black lung in a fucking mine, So that's my plan on preventing more crimes. Arm everyone, arm the teachers and the kids. Guns for dogs, exactly. Guns for bears. China. How to stop a bad guy with a gun. Wait for him to shoot his people, pee and balls while live streaming. Real Americans know. Wait, did somebody actually do that though? I'm pretty, I don't know. It's almost believable. Several! Oh shit, okay. Several! Okay, I thought you were just being sarcastic. Okay, I didn't know that actually that is real. I mean, there's a probability, that's high probability, but not several like you mentioned. Mao did say political power comes from the barrel of a gun. Shrug. Maybe the Americans were all Maoists all along. We be doing politics here, over here. That's like putting children's bulletproof bubbles in school rather than just taking away the obvious. Hey, I know, right? But obviously, the obvious is not obvious enough, Instead of taxing the rich, the United States chose to fucking fuck around with tariffs instead, China will grow larger. It's gonna be the biggest country, very big, the biggest of all. Even my friends say it is the biggest. It happens a lot. I worked security for a company and secured videos of someone's gun going off in their pants in the store. Bro, ew, what the fuck? Why? Why are people this dumb? I remember I saw some rapper on a podcast and his gun went off in his pocket by accident. Do people just not don't guns have a safety thing, right? Like what do you call that? A safety pin? Not a safety pin. Like what do you call with the guns? Like something that, or maybe just unload the fucking gun, Maybe don't carry around a loaded gun. How about that? Yeah, there we go. A safety switch. They're following the first rule of firearms. They're toys, so have fun. Okay, Big China sounds kind of sus, not gonna Well, Kartoshka, don't you played you played F around and find out, and now you goaded me into saying China. Now you're gonna have to hear me say big China. It's your fault, and it's your fault. Watch the watch the Tesla video, which was made some years ago. It was hilarious. It almost feels like it predicted that orange guy would do when becoming POTUS. Yeah. If you put a gun in a pocket, it doesn't matter if it has a safety. It can get turned off from moving in your pocket. Oh, okay. Why would people do that? Why would people put that shit in their pockets? Do they just think that they're invincible? Like, yeah, it's not gonna happen to me until they get their fucking dick shot, you know? Only safe way to carry your gun is to have a holster covering the trigger. You can take a gun safety course, but a lot of chuds in America just go and buy the things. For real, yeah. A lot of modern pistols don't have external safeties. They either have a grip safety or of triggers safety or trigger safety, and those are asked to get snagged on clothing and shoot yourself. Oh my god. China. Hello, Platinum. Small America, big China. I love that you use the cat. The comrade, the fucking cat. The comrade cat. Safeties are for Nancy's. A real man soils himself when his sidearm blows a hole through his trousers, bro. America. Mistakes were made. Yes, you did. Now suffer the consequences of big China. Now you suffer the consequence of big China. Girl, people think the moon is fake. What do you mean? They think that the earth is flat even. So what are we doing here? What are we doing here? There's even a term for carrying a gun in your pants without a holster. Naked Mexican carry. Why do people always throw Mexicans under the bus? Do you guys actually do that? A naked Mexican carry. What do the Mexicans have to do with that? How we get from knife play to shooting yourself. Yeah. I don't know. Don't bring a knife to a gunfight, I guess. A real man soils himself. One apple. Hey, I didn't say that. I was just reading chat. The fuck? Damn, Trump Futakuchi is a menace. I'm a Futakuchi. Excuse me, I'm not... Who? Futakuchi who? I am the only Frutakuchi. Mana, do you do other types of voice work? So good. No, actually, I can only do Trump voice. And I can do like a Valley Girl gay voice. I don't know. So you pick. You pick. Trump voice or Valley Girl. Seriously though, Americans think fluoride makes frogs gay. And Nancy Pelosi has a weather machine that causes hurricanes. What? Where is this conspiracy coming from? Gun safety is asking for too much, really. Yeah, that's true. Yes, Valley Girl gay voice. Like this. I have a Valley Girl gay voice. That is my Valley Girl gay voice. So, welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. I mean, KGB ballistic knife kind of looks okay in first seconds of gunfight. Okay. I don't know what that means, but I guess, these are some words. I'm now intensely curious what Trump voice plus Japanese sounds like. Wait, you know what? No. That sounds kind of cursed, man. And also, how do you even do the dragging sound? Like it's just going to ruin everything. It's not going to sound like Trump if it's like Japanese though. That's when you carry it in your pants, but with a holster. Oh, is there a clothed Mexican carry? MTG's Jewish space lasers was my favorite. What is MTG? You gotta make everything sound like a question. Yeah, like for the gay voice, the Valley Girl gay voice, it's just like a question. Like, are you even listening to me? Like, what do you think? Do I look fat in this dress? Do I look fat in this Manapple costume? Do I look fat in this headdress headdress? Bro, my brain is tweaking. I think we need to get back into it because we have 59 minutes of this. So let's not get sidetracked. We need to come on. Let's focus on the tariffs and in US the global trade. Okay, global trade. How would Big China sound with the Valley Girl? Big China, big China. Big China. Big. Okay, yes, let's go. Come on. That's not we are so distracted. What are we doing in the chat? Marjorie Taylor Greene is MTG. Oh, okay. I'm thinking about the other guy. Machine Gun Kelly. MGK. I'm like, wait, what do you mean MTG? Like, was it MTG, the musician? Like, oh. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Okay. All right. Anyway, never mind. All right, let's go. Juchi gang salutes you, comrade. Hello, Magyar guy. All right, let's watch. Let's get back into the ibuprofen. Okay, come on, let's go.
Certificates to Yihan and Hefei Heyi Aviation, allowing the public to book flights.
Hey Gorm, let's not get sidetracked in a monostream. Okay, I get it. Okay, I'm trying my best.
For low altitude tourism, urban sightseeing, and more. Ohang is paving the way for large scale commercialization of autonomous aerial mobility, the company announced. Member of anti-China organization denied entry to China. British Member of Parliament Vera Hobhouse was denied entry into the Chinese city of Hong Kong. The state news...
Was she treated as persona non grata? Because that's really cool. Serves her right.
Outlet, the BBC, portrayed the denial of her entry as that of an innocent grandmother who was tragically prevented from cuddling her own grandchild. Authorities gave me no explanation for this cruel and upsetting blow, Ms. Hobhouse said, who also described herself as devastated.
She's just a kindly grandma. This is authoritarianism because China prevented me from cuddling my grandchild. I gotta go have fun with the stream. Bye, King. Have a good day. My cat is very interested in this stream. Okay, that's nice. What is the color of your cat? What cat do you have? I'm interested in your cat. I'm jealous. I am in fact jealous of you because you have a cat. Everyone in the chat who has a cat, I am very jealous of you. I am jelly. White as fuck. What the fuck? What is your cat's color? White as fuck? Alright. That's one way to describe it. You could have said, oh, it's white as fuck. Like...
However, according to
I'm not gonna say anything anymore.
journalist Nuri
Because I might get TOS too.
Itachi, the organization to which Hubhouse belongs, IPAC, is a CIA
She's got
cutout
that annoyed,
focused on
powerful
attacking
person look
and
on her.
demonizing China, with deep ties to the NED and George Soros's Open
Tough shit,
Society
lady.
Foundation. On its website,
It's
IPAC lists the
authoritarianism.
NED and other regime change NGOs as partners.
Mm.
During the 2019
They ran out of budget because they don't have funding from the USAID anymore. USAID rather.
2020 Hong Kong riots, IPAC was an enabler of the violence that nearly destroyed the city and resulted in the burning of hundreds of businesses,
Jesus.
thousands of violent assaults on citizens, the burning of one man, the killing of another, and the kidnapping and the torture of a journalist. MP Hobhouse follows a line of entitled MPs from the constituency of Bath who have sought to undermine Hong Kong and deliver cruel and upsetting blows to the Chinese people. The last MP from Bath who entered Hong Kong was the Tory factotum, Chris Patten. Patten, who had failed to win even 22,000 votes in his own constituency in Bath, was appointed as a consolation prize, the governorship of Hong Kong, becoming the de facto colonial dictator of over 6 million people.
It's not
in 1992.
Wait, where did he mention APAC?
Reign as Hong Kong's colonial dictator. Not once did Patten ever put his office or his policies to a vote, ruling instead by fiat. However, once he left his office, he ardently demanded total democratization. China identifies natural compound to enable safer, more efficient cancer treatments.
I think, maybe that was it.
A research team from Tianjin University has decoded one of the mechanisms that fuel cancer and identified a natural compound derived from traditional Chinese medicine to inhibit liver cancer growth. Lactate functions as a metabolic fuel for cancer cells, and disrupting lactate transport is being researched as a promising intervention in cancer treatment. Chinese researchers identified psilocybin, a natural compound derived from TCM's daji, as a potential blocker of the monocarboxylate transporter that moves lactate in the body. Lab trials have confirmed the efficacy of this approach in cell and animal culture, which suggests that this has the potential to generate newer and safer treatments for cancer. The identification of psilocybin as a potential treatment echoes the work of other Chinese scientists who have mined the classical Chinese pharmacopoeia for healing compounds, such as artemisinin for malaria and huangqi as a bicaline source effective for COVID symptoms. Trump's tariff measures have been giving consumers, business...
China is curing faster and cheaper than ever, but at what cost? Bro, at what cost? The billionaires tax money, which is good. It's a good thing.
And pundits whiplash. In the 2 days following Trump's tariff declaration, stock markets lost $10 trillion, then recovered, then fell again, and then were followed by bond markets, which also declined rapidly. Trump has deferred tariffs on all countries now, except for China, for 90 days, while carving out an exception for Chinese electronic goods, but also signaling that this was only a temporary retreat.
Oh, that's a real headline? Bro, who writes these fucking things? Okay, so, alright. Can you send me the article? Because, like, what is there, like... What is the point of that headline? What is their end game?
Top hedge fund managers have said a recession is almost...
At what cost, bro? Big pharma not being able to profit as much anymore from dying sick people? Bro.
Most certain because of these measures.
Oh my god.
What
I
are the
can't.
economic and
They
geopolitical
sold their soul to
considerations
the
behind
devil.
these capricious actions?
China
What are
bad.
their impacts? We've asked Ben Norton to join us.
China is so evil that curing cancer in China is actually evil. That is true, but because you must dedicate all that research and funding where to generating more profits, okay? So if you're not profiting from anything that's being researched, then that's not a good thing, you know? That shit sucks. Curing people of cancer, shit sucks. That's not profitable.
Today to do a deep dive into what is really going
These op-ed pieces are often just talking points from the US oligarchs being regurgitated by complicit journalists and intellectual types. That is true, but I'm specifically curious about that headline. Like, what is like, did they say anything about, okay, what cost? What cost? Did they then mention the cost? The fuck? Can you find it for me, Platinum?
on.
Thank you.
Ben is the editor of Geopolitical Economic Report. And
Yeah, there we go.
highly sought
Geopolitical
after
Economic Report. That's his channel. Thank you, Platinum.
analyst of all things China related. Welcome back, Ben.
Thanks for that much too generous introduction. It's always a pleasure being here.
Thank you, Ben. Well, Ben, let's just jump straight into it. I mean, I think everybody
Chinese factories sold 100,000 boycotts China shirts. Chinese factories sold, okay. They sold 100,000 boycott China shirts. Okay. That is really funny. Jesus Christ.
is completely befuddled, including people who are considered to be experts. But this
Boo-hoo,
doesn't seem to be
corporations not
making any
profiting
sense.
as
This
much.
constantly whipsawing
What
approach.
about the 8th yacht? Like, he can't buy his 8th yacht. All of his friends have 10 yachts. What about his 8th yacht? How can he get 10 more yachts? All his friends had all the 10 yachts. What about him? Boo-hoo. I love that symbol for the channel is an apple.
To the economy and to tariffs. Trump imposed tariffs on the world, including
Bite into the sin of communism and empathy. Bite into the sin of empathy. You know,
On
you
the
want to. The shiny red apple. Shiny red apple of communism. Come, take a bite.
wins on McDonald Island, and then in the wake
Oh
of
my god, big brain concept. Oh my god. Hey, if I can't have a mega yacht inside which lives my other yachts, I will be socially ostracized. I know, right? Oh my god, it is real! Oh shit, bro. Okay, you cannot be. Alright, let's read it first. You know what? I was just planning on watching about like watching the trade war, but this one was in 2019, bro. 2019. Holy shit. Alright, let's read this before we go through the other one. China is getting smarter, but at what cost? 30 years ago, Shenzhen was a fishing village surrounded by paddy fields. Oh no, the peasants are not peasants anymore. Run for the hills. Why is this a problem? Like, why is this a problem? Why is this a problem? Tell me any universe that would. I think this is the only universe that would consider this a bad thing. Because you know why? If people are smarter, then if people have critical thinking skills, then it's gonna be harder for people to get duped into voting for fucking Trump, bro. Think of the cost, buddy. Okay. There's no cost in busing, say. Oh my god. They paved paradise, so you see, to put up a parking lot. They paved paradise to put up the parking lot. It's a song. It's a problem when you're a racist as JD peasants in China vans. Yeah, exactly. But they've been saying this though. It's said ever since in 2019, like, oh, the peasants are getting more educated. Then came a plan to build China's first special economic zone to allow foreign investments. And out of the quite rural landscape grew private businesses and factories, which over time transformed into a city. Yeah, they were developing the productive forces. Okay. China's smart cities ambitions are among the grandest in the world, but there are questions about whether their surveillance technologies will improve the quality of inhabitants' lives or just be used to keep a closer eye on them. This is literally what America is doing, though. Man, this is mad projection. This is America minus the smart cities. This is America. This is America keeping an eye on its inhabitants, plus crumbling infrastructure, ineffective public transportation with rats and feces all over, that. I would rather choose China because they have a very clean, infrastructure. And also, this is again like the threat of the credit score, the social credit score, my bro. When literally in America, you can't even get a loan if you have a bad credit score, Clean city. By 2050, about 292 million more Chinese people will live in cities. Already more than 58% of the population are urban dwellers compared to just 18% in 1980. According to the authorities there are 662 Chinese cities, including more than 160 with 1 million people or more. At the Smart Cities Expo in Barcelona recently, Shenzhen had one of the biggest exhibits. Yeah, but you're just a jelly bitch, I guess. Zhang Weidong, the general manager of the local delegation, told the BBC what technologies are powering the city. They are, he said, seriously focused on pollution. Compared to other cities, Shenzhen is clean. The city is the first in China to ensure that all buses and taxis on its road are electric, he explained. And now, look at China now. Most of their cities are like this now. Most of their smart cities are like this now. Alongside smarter transportation, there's a new smart healthcare system which makes sure that when anyone comes to the city from a faraway province, their health records are immediately accessible. Centralized one, okay? Centralized database. What do you know? But when asked about security systems, his response was less enthusiastic. We're only familiar with traffic. For the citizens of Shenzhen, there's no monitoring, he said. I bet they were already trying to solve this problem, though. But at a separate event in the city itself, the public are being challenged to consider the speed at which surveillance tech is being rolled out. Shenzhen's Futian station is hosting Eyes of the City, an exhibition which poses the city, what happens to people and the urban landscape when the sensor-imbued city is able to gaze back. Okay. Among the works on show are a facial recognition system that visitors can opt out of by wearing a special mask, and displays that look back at ticket holders, analyzing their emotional responses. One of the main objectives of the Eyes of the City exhibition is to encourage visitors to take a stance, shunning the dangerous option of neutrality. Okay. Shunning the danger dangerous option of neutrality. Like, why are they framing China as like, oh, China's not gonna give you a choice, you have to choose? Yeah, because they have backbones, maybe. You know, they're encouraging. What if they're trying to encourage people to have a backbone? Unlike you, bitch. Funny how that works. I agree that America is a surveillance state, but that doesn't justify China or any other country doing the same. Am I trying to say that you're literally trying to tell me that you're trying to move the goalpost here? Because I'm just trying to say that, yeah, this is bad. But also, what country doesn't do this? And also, the thing is, can you honestly compare the surveillance that America is doing towards its people with China? Like, how can you compare them? And which country has, you know, their people struggling? I think because the thing is, a lot of this energy over here is just China bad, you know? Like, everything that China does is more like a Big Brother thing. Like, the framing of this one is like, oh, China Big Brother, you know, like Big Brother surveillance state or whatever, which is the United States is already doing. The United States is already like this, though. So I'm just pointing it out, and your point is. Like, I think you're too quick to just like, oh, China bad. Yeah, I think you have that kind of mindset too. China bad. Maybe this stream is not for you if that's your knee jerk reaction. But what about China, bro? Of course, yeah, okay, sure. But do you have the same energy as the United? I don't see you having that same energy with the United States though, or Europe. What about Europe? They're also doing this. Why are you so gung ho with just China? You know, I don't see that energy from you. But it's because it's China, yeah. I think you already have like a confirmation bias against China anyway, so. What are we doing here? What are you trying to prove? You don't need to heavily monitor when people have their material needs being met. Exactly. The thing here in Japan, right? Like, people, we don't have a lot of, like, inside our cafes, like, people just leave their things on the table because we kind of have that kind of social collective understanding that, hey, maybe I'm gonna leave my stuff here, which means that I will put my phone on this table, which means that this is occupied. And people won't touch the phone. People won't touch your bag. They won't go through your things. They won't rob you because, you know, it's just, people just have that understanding here. And our material conditions are far better. So that's why, like, there's no need for people to actually rob others. Don't pay attention to us rolling out surveillance tech throughout an entire city. Look at China. They might be doing that. It's scary. Exactly, Gormlesk. So I don't know, Florian. Maybe you should ask that to yourself. Why are you only doing this? Why do you only have this energy against China? I don't see you doing this with Europe. I don't know, bro. Like, there's much to be criticized about China, but, you know, this is I'm just trying to point out that this is plain projection over here, you know? I linked the article you requested for FPR, the cancer treatment in China above, in case you didn't see. I didn't see it. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, this is the one. It was a Bloomberg article, but the cowards changed the OG article but kept the content. Here's the OG title from the screenshot. Let's see that. China is curing cancer faster and cheaper than anywhere else. But some worry they may be going too fast. Yeah, why don't we profit from sick people first? Damn. Damn, bro, why you like... You know, you're interfering with my bag. I need more sickly cancer people to like buy my medicine. Why are you curing them though? You know? Isolate quercetin, a chemical compound in licorice, kills 80% of cancer cells in the lab, has few side effects, and boosts the impact of drugs used to treat the illness. It's one of the several cancer cures China has produced lately. It's exploiting the methionine pathway common to all cancers, for example, and cutting CAR-T treatment price to $71,000 versus the Novartis $400. Fuck, what the hell? $475? And exploiting the possibilities of Chinese herbs like licorice. The speed and frequency of these breakthroughs suggest that Big Pharma is hostile to curing anything. Yeah. Yeah. Big Pharma. Okay, let's see what it says. What does it say? I know. Hold on. Is this the one? China's curing cancer faster and cheaper than anywhere else. Loser rules are being considered for experimental therapies. The basketball-loving teenager's dream to go into specialists. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. After spending 3 weeks in hospital, May during blah, 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 blah. Okay. 7 months later, monthly medical tests conducted at a hospital in a nearby Chinese metropolis of Chongqing show he remains cancer-free. Oh, wait a minute. It's an experimental gene therapy being trialed by a Chinese startup called Gracell Biotechnology. Yo! Isn't that a good thing, though? As I had a fever throughout. Who's now almost 16 and spends his days playing video games and texting his friends. It seems like a new solution that will give people hope. Indeed! Okay, for those of you who are like curious on how this works, I'm gonna skip over it because we have a lot of things to cover. Okay. Churning out cancer-killing immune cells overnight, bro. This is groundbreaking. Holy fuck. Doing it much cheaper in some cases than global pharmaceutical giants. And this is the reason why. But at what cost? Our investors. But at what cost? Our super profits. We cannot have fucking... I can't buy my 10th vacation home because of this shit. Boo-hoo. Let's watch this one.
对，就觉得有这个比没有这个治疗方案要好。它毕竟是实验嘛，就有成功的，这样就没有，就是所以就想试一下这个。 当海涛发现海涛的病的时候，是因为他开始手背有一点痛，我们就做了一个骨传。做骨传的时候，他当时要拿去广州化验嘛，那时候后面他化验回来的时候，他说
Oh damn, leukemia.
因为他过年4、5岁的时候在医院过生日。小一点就是移植之后就会，感觉呢就像买了一种保险那种，不移植就会，就复发率比较高。如果国内有这样的先进方法，真的很开心，能继续下去，为那些病人减轻很多痛苦。毕竟这种病真的是，如果有这种方案来治疗的话，是最好的了。
There are worries that China is moving too fast with deaths linked to experiment therapies. Okay, that is if there are actual deaths that led to that.
就希望
Then they have to take responsibility for that.
就有那种人。
But then again, you know, every medical experiment, like every drugs that are getting tested, you know, you'll never, even the safest ones, some people would still have like a different reaction, you know. Bitch, how can we cure neurotypicals? I know, right? The American dream is getting measles and driving a self-immolating electric vehicle 2 hours from the suburbs to the city for work. Yeah. Getting vitamin A vitaminosis. Meanwhile, Americans under the guidance of the holistic medicine guru RFK Jr. are buying infrared blankets to cure their maladies. I feel like this will ramp up more medical tourism. I know, right? I remember hearing from a former pharmaceutical executive that they can cure a lot of things right now, but it's not profitable as it's one and done type stuff. I see. Time to use my autism card to not pay taxes, apparently. Jesus Christ. You normally sign a medical waiver when doing experimental treatment that says if you die, your family can't sue. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Just noticing that they are a low-income family out in the sticks that got top-notch cancer treatment for free. No, but they don't have platinum. They don't live in a high-rise apartment building, so that's why, you know, like China's super poor because they don't have the luxuries. But the thing is that this is so funny because like people in America is like, oh, they live in the fucking, you know, in the sticks and like look at their house is not pretty. But then here they are, like a lot of their people have to like a lot of people died because I seen that one guy that died because he couldn't afford his inhaler. Like what the fuck? How do you die from asthma? What the hell? Like, what? What in the world? Like, what in the fucking medieval times are we in when a person had to die because they couldn't afford a fucking inhaler? What the hell? Jesus Christ. Doing experimental treatment on healthy patients that don't need a risk factor is bad. Radical treatments with patient consent on terminal patients is good, Bloomberg. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, too. Because they're trying to do everything they could to save the person. You have a great voice. Thank you. I know of patients in the US who are doing experimental cancer treatments as well, right? Wait, we're supposed to pay taxes. I know someone whose uncle developed a preventative for tooth decay that got sold to a dental industry company and never saw the light of day. What the hell? Simply getting care through certain US providers require that you agree to binding arbitration with an arbiter favorable to the medical provider as a prerequisite for receiving care. Training a doctor through the US AMA pipeline is so expensive that when the doctor does medical malpractice, moneyed interests will defend them. Jesus fucking Christ. Medicine and medical treatment is a fucking human right. Exactly. And look at that. The United States, like, oh, are they curing cancer too fast? I cannot handle this shit. Like, this is giving me so much, like, I'm gonna have brain aneurysm just having to think about, like, you know, the reason behind why people are opposed to this. Why are you so opposed? It's almost as if, like, your intention of creating medicine is to just generate profit and not actually cure people. What the fuck? Yeah, data collection. The somewhat Orwellian plan is to reward citizens for good behavior and punish them for bad. Isn't this what rules do? Right? This is exactly like, don't every country have a police? You know? Don't we have rules? When you do bad things, you go to jail. How the fuck is curing cancer too fast? Right? Well, how is curing cancer too fast a fucking problem? Like, in fact, they need to cure cancer too, like, faster, because so that the person won't die. The hell? How many Marxists are you on the communist scale of 1 to 420? I'm 1 Marx away from 420. It's a common practice for medical giants to buy up genuinely groundbreaking research and lock it away. Oh, Jesus. It's never actually been rewarded directly for following rules, laws in America, to be fair. The reward is you don't go to jail. If I pick up trash off the ground, I get a cookie. Already sounds better than here. China's system sounds better. Actually, you know what? If I had to choose, I would rather choose this because I'm incentivized to do a good thing. What the hell? Why is incentivizing for people to do a good thing a bad thing? It's weird. What the hell? Why is incentivizing good behavior a bad thing? What the fuck is wrong with you? In America, they just shoot people or send them to slave labor camp. Exactly. No, Latin Americano? No, they're not slave labor camps. They shouldn't have committed crimes, you know? If they didn't want to go to jail and work there for like a private prison company, you know? This is the contradiction of medicine under capitalism, which is a profession that requires a high degree of ethics to be effective. But is under an unethical system with an unethical educational system. Yeah. The reward for following the law in America is being sent to a death prison without trial. Exactly. Well, Mark's docu would go hard. The entire existence of anti-vax sentiment is a byproduct for for-profit medical care, yeah. Because in liberal societies, you should only be incentivized by yeah. Like there's really no reason for you to do anything good for your fellow human being. You know, it's as if we as a species, you know, did not evolve because of cooperation. Am I right? America is 4% of the world population, but 25% of the world's prison population. Right? It is such a high, like, what do you call this? Number of prisoners per capita. Just send everybody to El Salvador when they do not obey. Bro, I don't even know if you necessarily have to like follow the law. It doesn't even matter, because as long as you fit the right skin color, or I guess I would say the wrong skin color, then you would still be deported anyway. It doesn't matter if you are a legal citizen or if you're a legal immigrant. But if you're the wrong kind of immigrant, you're the wrong skin color of immigrant, nah. But somehow, an immigrant like Elon Musk is working directly in the government, so... You know what? No cures for cancer because we need infinite growth and consumption. Ain't that fucking right? Yeah, keep speaking up against injustices that the U.S. backs. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Okay. Data collection, city brain. Okay. So what was the cost?
Market crashes. He stayed the tariffs for 90 days and then removed electronics. And it's just back and forth. And you know, the kindest way...
We only have one truly infinite resource, human beings, and capitalism exploit. Exactly. It will be deported just for the government to be able to say, we are doing something. No consideration for your lives whatsoever. Exactly. They will destroy your life and just, like, put you on hold for no fucking good reason. About 40 minutes ago, Mana declared, let's not get sidetracked. Now we're getting sidetracked again. Did you see Trump not answering questions about returning Kilmar Abrego Garcia? Yeah, I saw that. So maybe you should put all your energy to that instead of going so hardcore on your criticism on China. Why don't you put that energy there?
To describe this is, to me, it looks like my dog is trying to do a Rubik's Cube. It's not making any progress. It's just going to destroy everything. But on again, off again tariff war. What's going on here? Is there any logic to this? Is there any method to this madness?
Very good question. I mean, everyone is asking that question. I think only Trump knows the answer. I personally think that there definitely is.
I wonder if they deported any Spaniards because they thought they were Mexican. Well, if they looked brown enough, they probably would, you know? If they don't look like the European, you know, if they ever so look like a little bit, you know, if they don't pass the brown paper bag test.
Competence, and there definitely is ignorance. But I also think that this is part of Trump's strategy. You know, Trump sees himself as a deal maker. He constantly boasts about this. I think the way that he sees the situation is...
Yeah, they use the color chart from Family Guy. Exactly. I have to go have a nice... Bye there, Schlund. To be fair, Trump doesn't answer many questions about any... That is also true. Why are we even concerned about what he's saying, you know? Like, he's a fucking fascist. Like, nothing he ever says is of any value. There's a good chance he's dead and they're waiting for the case to calm down. My God, bro. What the hell? So, basically, they're just sending people to a death camp, huh? They're just making it very clear it's a one-way trip if you get sent there. I have never said it was only China violating my privacy. My last message starts with America's surveillance state, and Europe has always been worse than America in privacy. Okay, there we go. So what's your point? It's happening everywhere.
Is he's trying to scare the rest of the world, and in particular, a few countries like China. He thinks the U.S. has all of this leverage. Trump gave a very arrogant speech at this Republican gala in which he boasted that other countries are coming to him and kissing his butt, as he said. I mean, he's just so arrogant about all of this. And I think part of...
Why does he look like he is like dehydrated? Like a fucking dehydrated raisin. He's alive, don't worry. A senator went to El Salvador to interview him. Okay, that's good to know at least. I love the Twitter of the Chinese geneticist that does embryo gene editing. When he gets called out by American Christian fundamentalists on his ethics, he just replies, pull up to Beijing then, bitch. Bitch boy, okay. My English is a little bit broken, but that doesn't stop me from wishing you a great day. Don't forget to smile today. Thank you, Talvo. Thanks for like translating it into English. That was my point. It's happening everywhere and we don't have any fucking privacy anywhere. Okay. Why are you still here? But the thing is, like, you have a different energy though when you're trying to point it out, you know? You have an almost litigious energy. I ain't seen that energy when you were talking about Europe. So that was my point, you know? Because a lot of people are quick to vilify China when it's happening everywhere. Okay, so what like, yeah, we have prisons everywhere, we have surveillance everywhere. What's the point? We're living under the system, so okay.
Part of this strategy again is
Garcia's confirmed not dead as of the other day. The Maryland senator was able to see him in person. Trump recently was talking about eventually deporting U.S.-born citizens or homegrown criminals. What the fuck is what does that even mean? What the hell? And that's the thing, okay, Florian, if you don't have any privacy anywhere, don't use social media. Why are you on Twitch? On the contrary, I just expect more of China. Okay. Well, okay, then that if that is your point, then that is a very fair criticism. China should do better. So do we agree? I think we agree on that. But the thing is, if you're concerned about your privacy, nothing is ever like, you know, safe online. Like we don't have that. Our data is just being sold everywhere. So what can we do? You know? It's happening everywhere anyway. So the best way for your data to not get stolen, don't have any social media. Don't have any online accounts of anything ever, right? That's the best thing that we could do to prevent our data from being stolen. Homegrown criminal sounds like a euphemism for the working class. For real. The Asmodingus. You know what? The Asmodingus, I almost always read it as the Asmondingus. Your name is dangerously close to Asmongold. Asmondingus. Eating McDonald's and snorting Sudafed and applying Dex stain to his face is how he gets his perfect look. What the hell? I would prefer surveillance under communism. You know what? I do not oppose that either. But the thing is, there would not be any surveillance anymore because there's no point in that. If it's under communism, there's no point in surveillance. We simply shift to another reality where the Oompa Loompa stays in the chocolate factory. Okay. Just read the TOS. Then you will at least know what data got stolen. Yeah. Just read the TOS. Okay. Literally, it's already been happening here. If there was an N there, I'd KMS just for the negative energy to reach that sewer. Also, you to totally just call me dingus. This is what I prefer to get. Okay, all right. I prefer to call you dingus as well, because Asmo dingus kind of, makes me associated with Asmongold. So let's not do that. I'm pretty sure that you would prefer me not doing that, associating your name with Asmongold. I'd prefer surveillance under gay space communism. Even better, lady. Lady Badash. Badass. Lady Badash. Lady Badash. Badash. Lady Badash. Yes, that's even better. Man, I think America hegemony is the catalyst for most censorship in China. If America didn't exist, I don't think China would care really, but the CIA is insane. I know, right? The Great Firewall exists for a reason. Mexico is exporting their criminals to US port to us, brother. That's an unacceptable. 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 Oh my god, I can't pronounce unacceptable. Okay, there we go. My god, I can't English anymore. It's like almost 1 a.m. here. Ashmedai. I've heard that so many times. I've considered rebranding, but the pun is simply too immaculate. I know. The Asmendingus. Mexico is yeah, okay. All right, let's go. Oh my god, I still have 40 minutes to go, games. Oh my god, let's not. We are so fucked because we are perpetually distracted.
He has his own spokespeople and cabinet members who are issuing contradictory statements. So Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, goes out and says something completely different. Trump contradicts him on his social media website, his Twitter copy. And then the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, goes out and says something different. And then his economic advisor, Peter Navarro, says something different. So there's all these contradictions. Part of that is because it's really Trump who's making all of these decisions, and the others are simply just trying to do what they're told. But again, I think Trump sees himself as this grand deal maker, and he wants to scare everyone. He's copying this idea going back to Richard Nixon of the Mad Men strategy. And, I'm not trying to say that Trump is doing 4D chess and is a genius. I don't think that's true at all. I actually think he's a very ignorant and frankly stupid man. But I do think that this part of this, chaos is part of his attempt to pressure China in particular. And I don't think it's going to work. I think Trump is vastly overstating the cards that the U.S. holds. This is the language that Scott Bessent used. Scott Bessent is, of course, a billionaire hedge fund manager who's now the Secretary of the Treasury. And he went on TV and he said, China doesn't have any cards. We have all the cards because China relies on exporting to the United States. Howard Lutnick, another billionaire who's Trump's Commerce Secretary, he went on Fox News and said the same thing. He said, China is much more dependent on us than we are dependent on China, which is ridiculous. It's actually the exact opposite. And the fact that Trump issued these exceptions for Chinese electronics is actually an implicit admission that the U.S. is very dependent on trade with China. Because if you look, even this has been so contradictory. Everyone's confused. So Trump issued an executive order that announced an exception for the tariffs on Chinese phones, computers, semiconductors, and other electronics. Now, this is very funny because what are China's largest exports to the U.S.? Phones, computers, batteries, and other electronics. They represent around 40% of Chinese exports to the US in terms of overall value, in terms of dollar value. So Trump says he wants to put 140%, 145% tariffs on China and cut off trade with China. And yet he's putting exceptions on the most important products that China exports to the US because he knows at the end of the day, the US cannot produce those products locally, these important technologies locally. If he really does believe that the US will do so, that it will reindustrialize, it's going to take many years, if not decades, to actually produce those goods in the US, to create new supply chains located in the US by excluding China. This is a process that's going to take a very long time. And so Trump issued this executive order that calls for exceptions on those Chinese goods. And then he posted a message on his social media platform saying that actually there is no exception. But then he revealed that actually there is an exception, but it's not 145% tariffs on Chinese electronics, it's 20% tariffs. So regardless, I mean, every single day the news changes, but I think the important thing to take away from this is that one, the US is much more reliant on China than it wants the world to think. And China recognizes that, which is why Trump issued these exemptions. And it's why China has not budged. Trump keeps saying, I want Xi to call me. President Xi needs to call me. He's not going to do that.
Yeah, but he's the one calling Xi, though.
He expects that China is going to bend over backward to meet the US and all these demands. But actually, we see that China is holding all the cards. So that's the most important message to take away. And the other message is that, again, I don't think this is all some kind of 4D chess and Trump's a genius. I think he is fine with the chaos and he wants to scare other countries. But at the end of the day, this is just going to blow back on the United States. It's already going to blow back, as you mentioned, that most mainstream economists and big banks and Wall Street are already predicting very high chances of a recession in the US. But it's also going to blow back because Trump says he wants all of these foreign companies to invest in the United States, but there's so much insecurity and so much chaos that they can't even make decisions to invest in the United States because they don't know if these tariffs will exist even next week, yet alone in a few years. So Trump says he wants the tariffs to be used as leverage to attract foreign investments and reindustrialize, but actually he's just paralyzing investors. He's paralyzing the companies that he serves. And at the end of the day, I think he's doing much more damage to the US economy than even the other economies that he's also trying to damage.
Ben, I have to agree with you that he's doing more damage to the US economy. I mean, this reminds me, I was looking out of my apartment one day. There's a homeless person who lives in front of my apartment across the street. And one day he was, screaming. And I realized that he was grabbing the collar of his shirt and then punching himself in the face. It's like, mime, performance art. But essentially, he was hurting himself. And this gives that impression that they really don't understand the economy, that they're working on some kind of flat earth theory of the economy that, current...
Trump is not negotiating from a position of power. He's a con man who thought it was going to force China to pay to play. Into a pay-to-play scheme, he thought wrong. Yeah, because these motherfuckers like him and JD Vance, they're trying to cosplay as strong leaders. They're just that, cosplaying. They don't have what it takes to be a strong leader. They don't have the intellectual capacity to be strong leaders. They don't have the skills for that. They're just cosplaying. They're just doing that, and then grandstanding, but they don't have nothing to show for themselves. Fuck. Why is Chrome like this?
And why? Today, we'll take a deep dive in this week's China Report.
Xi doesn't care about other countries at all. He just wants to fight the corruption in China. That's a good thing, though. The US is making a lot of demands and is showing how stupid they are. Like Trump's trying to use the trade war to get the UK to loosen or even drop hate speech protections for minorities. Damn, yeah, they're really trying to toe the line. This KJ analogy is so bad. Cringy. What was that about, even? Why we gotta bring up the homeless person's mental health struggle like that? What the fuck? On a positive note, I hear communist parties in Brazil are gaining good momentum. That is good. That is a good thing. Yeah, I still use... Wait, what do you guys use? Is it not good to use Chrome? It's bad to use Chrome. Is it... I don't know. Should I use a different browser? I don't know. Firefox. I used to use Firefox though. Is it better? Like, is it like comparatively? Because somebody, a friend told me to use Google, but not Google. To use Google Chrome. I used to use Firefox. uBlock works. Okay. Use Brave at the moment. Ah. Okay, I will try Firefox instead. Wait, what things? Wait, what do you mean what things? What things did they do? What did Firefox do? Am I the only one who is using Vivaldi? I've never seen any of you guys what you guys mentioned in the chat. Chrome is good for live streaming like Twitch. What is it? I don't know. Damn, okay. All right, I'll take note. Wait, where were we a couple of minutes
Is
ago?
happening and why? Today,
On any country that tries to de-dollarize, he's threatened BRICS. He claimed that he killed BRICS, which is not true. It's already going to blow back as you...
Wait, what minute did we stop? Oh my god. About here, okay.
You mentioned that most mainstream economists and big banks and Wall Street are already predicting very high chances of a recession in the US. But it's also going to blow back because Trump says he wants all of these foreign companies to invest in the United States. But there's so much insecurity and so much chaos that they...
I don't know if you read them, but there are posts detailing how shipment container orders to California ports have fallen off a cliff. Americans have no idea they're about to live pandemic shortages all over again. Damn, what? They've fallen off a cliff? No, I haven't read those.
They can't even make decisions to invest.
Hold up. My shit is fucked up. Okay. Well, you know what? It's raining inside now. It's raining inside now. That's just what's
Oh,
happening.
wait. Is that Asmundingus? What? Wait, I think I have your tab open and then you're on. I wanted to check out your channel and then it just somehow just left it there. I'm like, wait, who is this? Who is this? Whose voice is this? Oh, that was Asmundingus. I checked out your channel. Not Asmundingus, Asmodingus. Sorry. Fuck. See? You're becoming Asmundingus. Oh, damn. I'm sorry.
is happening and why?
Oh, hell no.
Wants to scare other countries.
Well,
but at the end
you
of the day,
guys
this
are
is just
here.
going to blow back on the United
Hold
States.
on. While you guys are here, why don't you guys give Asmo Dingus a follow? Hold on. Let me shout you out. The Asmo Dingus, right? Hold on. All right. Help a comrade out. Let's go.
It's already going to blow back, as you mentioned, that most mainstream economists and big banks on Wall Street are already predicting very high chances of a recession in the US. But it's also going to blow back because Trump says he wants all of these foreign companies to invest in the United
Assman Dingus.
States. But there's so much insecurity
Bro.
and so much chaos that they can't even make decisions to invest in the United States because they don't know if these tariffs will exist even next week, yet alone in a few years. So Trump says he wants the tariffs to be used as leverage to attract foreign investments and reindustrialize. But actually, he's just paralyzing investors. He's paralyzing the companies that he serves. And at the end of the day, I think he's doing much more damage to the US economy than even the other economies that he's also trying to damage.
Ben, I have to agree with you that he's doing more damage to the US economy. I mean, this reminds me, I was looking out of my apartment one day. There's a homeless person who lives in front of my apartment across.
All right, this is the one that you guys were talking about. That is not a good thing. That is not a good way to
the street. And one day
Why are you dragging a homeless person into this?
Screaming. And I realized that he was grabbing the collar of his shirt.
I would be too if I were homeless, what the fuck?
And then punching himself in the face. It's like, mime, performance art. But essentially he was hurting himself. And this gives...
Yeah, that's not a good comparison. Come on, man. Come on now. Let's not do that. He needs better comparisons. Let's not make fun of homeless people. What the hell?
Gives that impression.
Or not even use it for to ascribe negativity into it. Like performance, right? Actual sociopath, yeah. That's not good, bro. It's not performance art. I would be doing that too if I were homeless, because I would lose my fucking mind. I would probably experience depression. Yeah, that's what poverty does to you.
That they really don't understand the economy, that they're working on some kind of flat earth theory of the economy that current
it's giving anti-poor. It's giving sycophant vibes, I don't like it. He needs to self-crit. You need to self-crit, bro. Yeah, it is real. It's quite classist. It's casual classism.
Account deficit
actually.
or trade balance is the measure of national strength and not, for example, GDP. And also, really, as you point out, that China is more dependent.
But the thing is, this sentiment is really common, and it's really sad. But I expected more from this person because Breakthrough News is supposed to be a socialist, a socialist news channel. So, bro needs to self-crit.
Dependent than the U.S. is on China. I mean, you and I have both seen the article in Foreign Affairs where they say that, what China gets from the United States is money, which is fungible, whereas what the United...
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of, people without home. There are a lot of homes without people. For people without homes,
United States gets from China are intermediary or finished goods, which are not easily substitutable. So can you say a little bit more about why and how the US is more dependent on China than vice versa?
Yeah, this is such an important point. Now, if you listen to the rhetoric of the Trump administration, as you said, I think it's accurate to compare it to flat earthers, because
Okay.
Trump thinks that having a trade deficit means other countries are robbing the US. I won't even say the words that he said in his April 2nd speech. They were crazy.
I don't understand why people don't understand how tariffs work. Bro, you're gonna be shouldering that. The cost of that is on you. What the fuck, bro? If you're homeless, just buy a house, duh.
Like violating the US. And this is insane. So I mean, I am one of the biggest critics of the current financial system as it exists. I think we need a new financial system, but the US is the one that benefits from this financial system. And the US created this financial.
It just reminds me of that H bomber guy responds to like Ben Shapiro's saying that, oh yo, like if you're so worried about climate change and rising sea levels, just sell your coastal home. And then H bomber is like, to whom, Ben? To fucking Aquaman? The fuck? Who am I gonna sell the fucking house to?
System in order to benefit itself. The US prints dollars,
Aquaman.
which these days, the vast majority of dollars in the world are not even physical. They don't even need to be printed. It makes more dollars by adding zeros on a computer screen. I mean, that's what the US does. And then it uses those dollars to buy goods that are produced by workers in China, workers in Vietnam and South Korea and many countries that have export-oriented economies. So these Vietnamese and Chinese workers that now face very high tariffs, well, they were suspended temporarily on Vietnam, but these Chinese workers, they, work very hard. They make these products. China exports them. The U.S. pays China. Well, U.S. importers pay Chinese companies in dollars, and then China gets access to all these dollars. And historically, it would invest them in U.S. government debt, U.S. Treasury securities, but it knows that those are no longer reliable, especially after the U.S.
Hey, yo, the Drew Stew, thank you for subscribing for 2 months.
Hundreds of billions of dollars of U.S. and EU bonds of government debt. So China has been, over the past decade, has been de-dollarized.
Did you know that Flat Earth Society has members all around the globe? Wouldn't you know? Or at least that's what their official Twitter said. That is so weird. Now that is performance art, because there's no fucking way that anyone actually believes that shit. I refuse to believe that but there are actual people that thinks the Earth is flat.
The U.S. and the European Union seized hundreds of billions of dollars of U.S. and EU bonds of government debt. So China has been, over the past decade, has been de-dollarizing its reserves. But the point is that the U.S. created this system that gave it what's known as the exorbitant privilege of having the global reserve currency and simply printing dollars, adding zeros on a computer screen, and then getting all of these goods that are produced by people around the world. Obviously, this is a horrible system, and I think we need a different system. But Trump is not trying to create a new system. Trump has said many times that he likes the current system, and he wants to save the dollar's hegemony, and he's threatened 100% tariffs on any country that tries to de-dollarize. He's threatened BRICS. He claimed that he killed BRICS, which is not true. And Trump's top economic advisor gave a speech.
That's a fucking stretch. How does this motherfucker make such claims? Like, oh, I killed BRICS, and then China is still there. China is like literally dead ass becoming stronger. And he's like, I killed BRICS. No more BRICS. BRICSy, BRICSy, BRICS. Brexit. I did a Brexit. I made the BRICS exit. And then you can call it Brexit. Bro, I can't stand this motherfucker. Madman theory, yeah. I'ma forcefully donate some bricks in his direction. That is true. He needs a bricks. A bunch of bricks, not a brick. he needs a bunch of bricks in his direction. B-roll making me wonder what is the salary for printing money. That's true.
Is happening and why
it's expensive for the
keep
US
on?
to maintain its hundreds of foreign military bases and this financial system. So they want other countries to pay tribute. As Stephen Myron, Trump's
Bricks
top
will
economic
fail
advisor,
if,
said, they want
if
other countries to
Kazakhstan doesn't
write
join them for
checks to
real.
the US
Yeah.
Treasury. That's what he said. To subsidize the US empire. So this system is already biased in the interest of the US. Trump wants to make it even more egregiously biased in the interest of the US. And he wants to end trade deficits, which, by the way, is totally contradictory because in order to maintain the dollar as the global reserve currency, other countries have to get dollars in order to use dollars in international trade. So Trump says that he's going to put 100% tariffs on countries or like in BRICS or other countries that de-dollarize. But he also says that he wants to end trade deficits with other countries. So how are they going to get the dollars that they need to use the dollar in international trade and to hold dollars in their reserves? It's a completely contradictory policy. But at the end of the day, Trump he's acting like a mafia don. He wants the entire world to pay him protection money as part of an extortion racket. And this gets us to China. So obviously this system is not really benefiting China. China has been trying to create a new financial system that is more equitable. But China also understands that this cannot be done overnight. This is part of a process going on many years or even decades. And China's strategy for decades, but especially since 1978 and the beginning of the reform and opening up under the leader Deng Xiaoping, the idea was that China would maintain a low profile and would play the game slow and steady wins the race.
They're playing the long game.
They would keep their heads low. They would develop. They would not poke the bear, the U.S. being the bear in this case. They would not try to provoke imperialists' attack on them so they could develop and focus on lifting people out of poverty.
And they did.
And that's China's approach. They don't want to just overnight turn over the apple cart, destroy everything, and create a new financial system. They've been working.
That's what happens. That's what's being like a continuous oldest civilization does to you. And also, because Mao happened. Thank you, Mao.
Over many years now on trying to create new institutions. They're, of course, a key part of BRICS. They have the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, the Belt and Road Initiative. There are so many different institutions and projects. But now Trump is essentially saying, we're just going to blow up this system that we created, that the U.S. benefited from, to try to make a system that is even more...
I know, right? The American president wants to make the global financial system favor America? Who would have thought?
Explicitly pro-U.S. That is even...
As if not every president of the United States has been doing that already.
More blatantly imperialist. Previously, the U.S. tried to maintain this kind of unofficial empire, and Trump just wants a full-on 19th century empire. Trump is a man of the 19th century. He loves McKinley. He wants to go back to the era of the robber baron.
Crazy when that was the reason the Sino-Soviet split, and then Deng was like, nah, the Soviet cook with this one. Yeah.
Friends. He constantly talks about how these tariffs were great in the 19th century. And every U.S. president is imperialist, including Democrats, not just Republicans. But Trump's imperialism is especially blatant. It's openly colonial. He wants to colonize Greenland. He wants to colonize Gaza, the Panama Canal, talking about colonizing Canada. And getting back to this issue of U.S. trade with China.
Because he's a colonizer.
He thinks that he can use the large U.S. economy. It is large. It's not the largest in the world. China's is when you measure it purchasing power.
And funnily enough, the current global system already benefits only America. This is like very similar to fucking incels failing up. Like, how are you living in a society that's in favor of you? Like, it's built for you, and you're still a fucking incel, bro. Come on. The same with America. How are you how did you build this world to favor you?
And has been
but
since
you're still
2016,
fucking losing, bitch. What the hell? In the case of the US and China, it's because they are antagonistic economic systems. Capitalism can't coexist with Marxist socialism, vice versa. Yeah, they're completely diametrically opposed. Could be the tism in me, but I just don't get why we need to compete with each other. Hold on, what was that? Compete with each other. In this day and age, empathy wasn't something I ever had to be taught personally. No, like, that's the thing though. The capitalism cannot coexist with Marxism. Social, they're not. It's either one way or another. We can't have both. If you want to prioritize the well-being of human beings, you cannot prioritize profit, right? You cannot prioritize a profit-driven, mode, You have to, it has to be one or the other. It's not both. And if people think like, oh, why not both? Yeah, it will always devolve into that something, whatever that is, being devoured by capital. So no, it will always get infected by capitalism. So they can try, they have tried, and they have failed many times. So no, it doesn't work.
The U.S. economy is large. A lot of that's because the U.S. dollar is overvalued, and if the dollar ended its status as the global reserve currency, the U.S. economy would actually be seen as much smaller than it actually is.
As a Canadian, I don't like any of those colonization plans. Yeah,
currencies appreciated against the dollar. But the point is that the U.S. has some leverage, but it's not nearly as much as Trump thinks it is. What does China export to the U.S.? I already mentioned that over 1/3 of China's exports to the U.S. are electronics.
What?
The top.
When I hear incel, the first thing that comes to mind is Alexander Podnebesny and his concept of Vagaga capitalism. What is a Vagaga capitalism, bro?
The top exports are phones, computers, and electric batteries, and many other things. Car parts, many things. And then, of course, China also exports textiles, plastic products. So apparently Trump, when he says he wants to reindustrialize, he's not going to reindustrialize making electronics, which he's actually put exemptions on. He's going to reindustrializing making sneakers and T-shirts and plastic and Tupperware in the U.S. Are those the good manufacturing jobs he wants to bring back? Anyway, now what does the U.S. export to China? He thinks that the U.S. is so dependent on he thinks that China is so dependent on the U.S. and can't replace the U.S. Okay, the top U.S. exports to China are oil and gas, soybeans. Both of those are easily replaceable, and
soy boys.
Advanced semiconductors. Now, there are a lot of countries that make oil and gas. China can and is buying from them. There are a lot of countries that export soybeans, like for instance Brazil, which has become a more and more important trading partner with China as a member of BRICS. It is true that semiconductors, advanced semiconductors, chips, which China historically was dependent on, the U.S. did have a significant advantage in the most advanced semiconductors, especially from NVIDIA, which is a U.S. company. However, the Biden administration put export restrictions on China to try to block China from getting access to the most cutting-edge chips, to try to sabotage China's AI industry. So what has China done for the past several years? It has been pouring resources into developing its own domestic chip ecosystem, so it's no longer dependent on U.S. exports of high-end chips. And by the way, you know what other region of the world is a leading producer of chips is Taiwan province. And now Trump is trying to force Taiwan's semiconductor manufacturing company to move to the United States and preparing for a potential war on the Chinese mainland. But China, in the meantime, the mainland has been developing its own indigenous advanced semiconductors. So China has been preparing for years these kinds of economic attacks and becoming more independent and sovereign technologically and self-sufficient.
Yeah.
So Trump thinks he has all these cards, but you keep looking. Every time he says something, China's already thought of this and has been preparing for years. Another example is Trump keeps saying, people in the Trump administration keep saying, China is so dependent on exporting to the US. Now, it is true that that China does export a lot to the US, but it's no longer the largest market for China's exports. ASEAN is now the largest trading partner of China. And if you look at China's exports to ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, and its exports to the US,
let's go.
They've fallen substantially going to the US.
Where my sea imps at?
In the past few years, and they've risen going to ASEAN and many other countries. So the US thinks that it's completely irreplaceable.
Right.
But all
Having
Trump is doing, he's accelerating this process that China has been carrying out, as I mentioned, slowly as part of this. This is the Chinese modus operandi, which is to move slowly, to keep your head low, not to rock the boat, but to, like the tail of the tortoise, slow and steady wins the race. Whereas you have this US maniac government that's just out of control, attacking everyone, threatening their allies. No one trusts them. And that's very quickly, that fuse is going to end. It's going to blow up in their
Also, they're just using the art of war.
face. And China's approach, this slow and steady approach, it's now being accelerated because of Trump's attacks. But China's been already prepared, and it's looking very strongly like China will come out much better than the US will.
Hey, yo, let's go, Christian. Hello, Christian. Let's go. Hello, homie. Thanks for subscribing for 8 months in a row. Jesus.
I have to agree with you, Ben. I think that China is going from strength to strength. I believe that it has been preparing for these tariffs since the last Trump administration. And of course, as you point out, China not only has cards to play,
I know it's a meme, but I'm ready for the Chinese century. I don't think it's much of a meme anymore, It has a little bit of, truths in it now. Not even a little, but it's emerging, Like growing up, I've been hearing China as being like the sleeping dragon, but now I'm seeing like, oh, the dragon is awakening now. Twitch doesn't ban the word vagine. So vagine capitalism is a concept by the most famous Russian incel Alexander Prodnebesny. The point is that the women have the same means of production, means of sex in the case, and generate profit for themselves by using those. Bro, that is a prime insult take. Holy fuck, bro. Goodbye. I paused right when Ben was like drinking water. Okay, hold on.
Is happening. And why?
Why does
Today,
it keep on coming back
exports
there,
to the
bro?
United States are about 3% of GDP. Is that correct?
Yeah, and falling.
And falling, right. And 3% of GDP.
I wish Europe would start trading more with China and stuff. But yeah, as long as the United States is there, it's not going to happen. But maybe if the United States is going to throw Europe under the bus, I mean, more than he already does, then maybe Europe is going to reconsider, and they should.
It's not great, but it's not a deal breaker. I mean, the city of Shanghai contributes more to China's GDP than everything that China exports to the United States. And Nassim Taleb has pointed out for every dollar that China loses in this tariff war, the US will lose 7. So certainly we can see that, the advantage is on China. But I want to go back to this idea that, there is this belief that the US through tariffs can actually reshore production back to the United States. We have a clip from Peter Navarro where he explicitly says that. Let's watch that clip.
We've had a beautiful turnaround in the financial markets, the bond markets, and we're going to move forward and get the best deals we can for the American people. The ultimate goal, Lindsay, is to return manufacturing, not just assembly, but manufacturing back to U.S. soil. And that's what's Make America Great Again is all about.
So, I mean, that is a kind of an astounding statement on many, many levels. I mean, we know that deindustrialization is a process that happened over 5 decades. And in China's case, you know, it took decades for them to industrialize. But this notion that they can simply turn on a dime and re-industrialize seems far-fetched. There's also another clip I want to show you. This is a person who does his manufacture in China, and he explains why this is not possible for him.
With a whole bunch of kicking and screaming, I can get an American company to make this for maybe $1,200, not powder coated, no packaging, no shipping, and I get this for like $250 in China. And then China says, like, how many do you want? You want 5 pieces? You want 100? You want 500? We don't care. And then but the biggest thing I'm running into with American companies is that they're coming back and they're just saying, like, well, how are we supposed to make this? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I gave you CAD designs. Like, look at the CAD designs. And they're like, but we don't know if, you know, you're not telling us if we should weld this corner on here. And then they're sending me back these pictures of, like, the thing kind of taken apart. And they're like, you need to tell us, like, that you want this corner welded here and then that you want this piece bent and what. And I'm like, I'm not a metal shop, man. We're a software development company.
Yeah.
Like, I give this to China and they say no problem. And then 6 weeks later, I have these beautiful boxes in my hands for 1/10 of the price of America. And so even
Chinese peasants, am I right? They're so skilled. Low skilled workers, am I right?
if the tariff
the worst one under oh no, hey, no. Oh no. Okay. All right, 1918 Commissar, let's shelve that discussion for a later day. Okay, like I don't wanna deal with it. Sorry.
Tariffs end up being the original 25% tariff plus the 10% that he just added, plus another 25% on steel products. I'm probably still going to make them in China because I don't have to deal with Americans.
Exactly.
And on top of all that, like, you know, you add another 60% to what I'm paying. I bet they're still cheaper to do in China. With 1,000,000 times less headache. Like, I hate working with American companies so much. There are no words for me to describe how
hellish,
horrible of an experience it is working with American companies, especially in the steel industry. So,
oh god, okay. Fuck, bro.
Ben, your comments.
Well, a few things. Just thinking about the math there. If I remember correctly, he said that he buys it from China for 200, and if he did it in the U.S., it would be over 1,000, right? Is that what he said?
1,200 according to him.
So Trump would have to put on over 500% tariffs for that to still be for him to buy it locally. I mean, it still makes sense for him to buy it from China despite 500% tariffs. What this shows is that tariffs alone do not reindustrialize countries or industrialize countries. If all you need to do is to put tariffs on to industrialize, then every country in the world would have sky-high tariffs. It's not that simple. Now, you know, I've made it very clear for many years now, and I make it clear in my show, I'm not a free trade supporter at all. I'm very critical of this whole idea of free trade. And I'm not against tariffs in principle, but tariffs have to be very specific, strategic, and isolated. The use of blanket tariffs like this by Trump is so stupid, and all it's going to do is result in higher prices in the U.S. and a tax burden on poor and working class people, which I'll get to in a second. I think this is part of Trump's strategy. He wants to use blanket tariffs. He said this openly many times. He wants to use blanket tariffs to raise government revenue so he can reduce taxes on the rich and on corporations. So in other words, Trump is moving the burden of taxation off of capital and onto labor, off of the rich and onto the poor and working class. That's what tariffs are. They're a tax on consumption, and they are borne by the majority of the population who are working class people. Now, as for tariffs, when they could be positive,
it won't affect him and his friends. In fact, it would enrich him and his friends.
And they could be used as part of a larger industrial policy to industrialize a country, to develop manufacturing sectors and strategic sectors.
I mean, at least Spain is getting closer to China. A week ago, it was announced that Spain's first minister signed 7 commercial cooperation agreement in a visit he did to China with Xi Jinping. That's a good thing. Co-creator, yeah, I sent you the link of my VTuber mama. She's amazing. She's a great artist. She also does the majority of the illustrations in my music videos. So let's go.
In strategic areas.
Check her out, please. Thanks.
Every advanced economy, every industrialized economy has used an industrial policy about.
If you're curious about Europe's stance regarding China, typical neoliberal shit.
Basket of different policies led by the government in order to industrialize. This is true of the United States originally.
Let's try mixing socialism and capitalism. It will totally work.
This is true of European countries. This is true of Japan, South Korea, and of course, China. They all use state-led policies that include, and ironically, you know who invented industrial policy? It was the first Secretary of the U.S. Treasury, Alexander Hamilton, in his famous report on manufacturers. He talked about how the U.S. government needed to invest in infrastructure. It needed to use
China invested decades of excellent free higher education. The U.S. has student debt bubbles, plural. This will never work. Exactly.
Government bank in order to provide credit to industrialists.
The thing is that they're having this I don't know, they're having this delusion that manufacturing, by doing this, they say that Trump is they're bringing back manufacturing to the US. But the thing is, with what infrastructure, bitch? You don't even have anything, and you don't have the skills to do it too. No, you would still have to depend on the peasants in China, bitch.
It needed to educate the population in order to work in these factories. And then every single industrial economy has followed this approach of having a state-led model of industrial development. In the case of China, it's the clearest, and it's been the most successful, and it's been the fastest. In just a few decades, China has gone from producing around 1 or 2% of global manufacturing output 40 years ago to now producing around 32% of global manufacturing output. As a mainstream Western economist put it in an article, a scholarly article last year, China is the world's only industrial superpower. But to be honest, it's not just China. Look at what South Korea did, despite the many problems with the right.
You need local manufacturing in a wartime scenario. If you get embargoed, you aren't completely fucked. Yeah. Tariffs are on industrial equipment and raw materials too. Such a great strategy. Which the States absolutely is, if that were to happen. Yeah.
Right-wing military dictatorship and all of that. The government in South Korea said they had 5-year plans under Park Chung-hee, and they said, these are the 6 sectors we are going to industrialize. The government is going to control its access to foreign currency, restrict local South Korean workers from getting access to foreign currency. We're going to use this only to import capital goods and machinery, and we're going to industrialize our country through a state-led industrial campaign. Even Japan, which has been a one-party state since 1955, go back and look at Japan's industrial policy. This is how every country industrialized. You can't just rely on the free market and magically companies will invest and industrialize, because manufacturing is not that profitable when you're competing with the rest of the world. Your profit margins are pretty low.
Yeah.
A lot of other countries can make toasters and even cars, right? There's many car companies around the world. So a lot of capitalists It's not in their economic interest to simply create manufactured goods. This is why the US
Exactly.
deindustrialized.
Mhm.
It's much more profitable to speculate in the stock market. That's the most profitable.
Yeah.
It's much more profitable to make a
They're the only thing that the quote unquote generates wealth in the United States mostly is speculation. There's nothing of value is ever created. What the fuck? What the fuck kind of system is this? It's almost as if like money is fake. What the hell, bro?
tech monopoly and then charge monopoly rents,
Ugh.
and your profit margins are like 80%.
Yeah, lying
So
go up,
this is
bro.
why the US is
So
deindustrialized. It was not profitable for US capitalists to manufacture locally. Of course, they did want to exploit
outsource
foreign
it.
workers. That was certainly part of it. But it's also simply because in the US, if you want to be a very wealthy oligarch, if you look at all of the billionaires, most of their wealth comes from either finance or big tech. And a lot of those big tech companies are basically financialized companies.
Yeah.
So Trump has this idea that all
Like
you do is you
fucking
just put
X,
tariffs on and
SpaceX.
magically capitalists will industrialize the country. It's not going to happen. All you're going to do is massively increase the costs of all of those imported goods because they're still going to be expensive to produce locally. If
Federal
Trump really wants to
Reserve.
reindustrialize, and I've said for years that the US should reindustrialize, but the only possible way of doing it is doing the exact opposite of what Donald Trump is doing. The US
Make no mistake, America is gearing up for war in the next decade or two. Time to dig a bunker. I wonder if they actually do that, if anyone would actually fight their wars anymore. People can just not serve, you know? People can just like, you know what? I'm gonna peace out. I'm gonna peace out from America. Money is as real as my chances of retirement as a Gen Z person. Exactly. No retirement for millennials and Gen Z. We retire when we die, basically. When are you gonna retire? When I'm fucking dead? That's my retirement plan. Death. Financial capital taking over industrial capital. Where have I read this before? I know, right? Yeah. If it's against China, I imagine a lot of people would be in favor of that. Yeah, they could do that, but then, you know, we're gonna fucking lose. Stray are gonna be used as a meat shield. And if like, wouldn't it be funny if they're actually they're gonna do this to China and then Vietnam will join on the side of China to just, you know, give a little something. give America their PTSD back.
US government would have to, one, massively invest in infrastructure.
Here's a stark reminder that y'all are fucking losers.
Trump is cutting infrastructure spending. He's imposing.
As far as I know, Vietnam is playing neutral. Okay, I mean, of course, you know, it in peacetime. What about during wartime? We'll never know. That's for the Vietnamese people to decide.
Austerity. The government would have to massively invest in education and worker training programs. The US doesn't have the skilled workers, as that business owner was talking about. They don't have the skilled workers to actually develop these, to manufacture these advanced goods. This is why the Taiwanese semiconductor manufacturing company, when they opened these factories in Arizona, because the Biden administration gave them billions of dollars to do so, they didn't have any local workers, so they sent over a bunch of Taiwanese workers with their family members to Arizona. Okay, so the US government would have to massively invest in education. Trump is in the process of abolishing the Department of Education. Furthermore, Trump would have to actually plan. The government would have to say, okay, we are targeting these sectors, these industries. We're going to develop a local semiconductor industry, and we're going to put tariffs on foreign semiconductors, not all foreign goods with this blanket tariffs, which all it does is raise prices. Specifically, we're going to develop a local semiconductor industry, and we're going to protect the local industry and then develop it. And then eventually you lift the tariffs and they can compete internationally. Otherwise, I mean, eventually they'll have to always live under these tariffs or they can't compete. So Trump is not using tariffs as part of an industrial policy. The only way, I mean, if you look at China,
trying to do a money grab.
One of the reasons that Chinese manufacturers are also very competitive, it's not because of low wages. Wages in China have increased by tenfold in the past 30 years.
Okay.
The reason that one of many reasons that China is so competitive is because the Chinese government owns the electrical grid, the telecommunications infrastructure, all of the...
It's as if nationalizing industries is, actually effective.
Banks, the land, infrastructure, transportation. So China reduces the costs of production in all of those ways by providing very cheap electricity, very cheap transportation, very cheap access to infrastructure, very good infrastructure. They educate and train workers. And then the state-owned banks in China give very favorable loans to develop manufacturing. The Chinese government made a plan because they have a socialist government. And every 5 years, the Communist Party has a 5-year plan. And in addition to their 5-year plan, they have specific plans for industries. A few years ago, they announced a plan for what they call new energy vehicles, what we would call electric vehicles.
Do you have
and they said, we're going to...
Speaking of which, Imps, do you have a 5-year plan for yourself? I should probably do that, as a communist myself. I should definitely put that into application in my own life. So I need to have a 5-year plan of my projects, or just personal goals and shit. How about a 5-year dream? Nationalizing. Yeah, nationalizing is the best option instead of nationalism, right? 5-year plan, not die. Okay, I guess that's a plan. It's almost like a command economy benefits the workers. Exactly. They're just not like, letting the the invisible hand like bitch slap you. like how the US is letting the invisible hand bitch slap the US economy in the face.
By this year, we're going to develop this many electric vehicles, develop our electric vehicle industry, etc.
Yeah.
And what happened?
I guess it's better to leave the country, I think, at this point. If you have the means to leave America and you're going to be okay living in a different country, I guess it's a better option at this point. Like, my partner is American, and we're planning to be together, but I'm not moving to the United States. My partner has to move here to Japan. and they want that because, fuck America.
The government poured resources into developing an electric vehicle industry, and now China is the world leader in EVs. So do we think that Donald Trump is going to do anything?
I'd be damned if I had to live in America, I swear. Like, where am I going to get my health care? What the fuck?
Any of that? Not in a million years.
Like, here, I get my dental checkup, like, it's 70-30, so the government is paying essentially for like 70%. I'm paying the 30%. It's not free healthcare, but it's affordable, and dental care is already included in the healthcare. In that it's already included there. I don't understand why the US has a separate dental plan. Like, bro, dental health is health, part of your health, what the fuck? I don't get the logic in separating that. It's part of your body. Like, what the hell? Why do you have separate plans? It's weird. I find it really odd. Dental health is one of the leading reasons for ED visits. What's ED? Like eating disorder? My 5-year plan is bringing the Conservative Party to their knees. Okay. That all right. In Minecraft, you mean? My background has been in IT and it's rough everywhere, but it's definitely less rough elsewhere. Ah, wait, if you have IT, maybe you can try working in Japan or something. Oh, erectile dysfunction? Oh, wait, which one is it? In Norway, dental care is not covered at all after 18 or so. How the fuck is that a thing? Why is dental care separate? That doesn't make any sense. Erectile dysfunction. Is it true they put an A, B, C style mark in your checkups report? Yeah. They do. Last year, okay, let me tell you, platinum chip, since you are a medical doctor. So I work out and my creatinine like levels are higher than the usual average, I guess, female person in Japan. And they put a C on it. It's as if I have a kidney problem. Bro, I don't have any kidney problem. My creatinine level is higher because I work out. For some reason, I don't know. I don't understand. Like, my kidneys are perfectly fine, but why am I getting a fucking C? Bro? I don't get it. Yes. Ain't no way that was from Raw Gains. Yeah, I mean, I went over the where's my my report? I went over the recommended level, right? In here, if you go so over as like point whatever, you're already like gonna you're already gonna get a C for that. Oh, your creatinine levels are higher than the average, than the national average. Okay, you have a kidney problem. No, they didn't say that though, but they told me that I needed to like have a follow-up checkup, but this has been my report since I started working out. Like, okay, so I've been in this company for like when I didn't work out yet as much, like I didn't start lifting weights. Okay, so my creatinine levels were normal, but I like maybe like 2 years into like working out, my creatinine levels have increased than the national average. I mean, your doc should ask you about lifestyle before getting a C. They did. I said like they had like they made us answer questionnaires about, oh, do you drink? Do you do this? Do you smoke? How fast do you eat your food? I'm like, normal. Do you chew can you chew your food? Like, you know, they ask us like, how well can you chew your food? Like, very well. They asked about lifestyle and they still gave me a C for that. No, but to be fair, it's just for that section. There are sections in there. So like, for example, I got like my blood test, you know, like for my hemoglobin, for, you know, my level, my cholesterol, my HDL, LDL. They're all good. We're my triglycerides and stuff like that. I got an A for that. Okay. Naturally, because I don't eat meat. So, but then, how do you how well do you masticate? Yeah, exactly, Gory. This is a question in my form. Can you masticate well? Can you masticate your food well? But yeah, they ask us that, and then there's a doctor. Like, I mean, to be fair, it is a company. Like, this is our like annual health checkup, which is free by my company, because we are required to undergo that because the company paid for it. So we have to do it. We are required. And then if, like, for example, if you have, I have some coworkers that are, you know, they are a little bit overweight, then the doctor would recommend them, like, oh, would you like to, like, you know, consult further to, like, get advice for lifestyle change and etc., etc. So it's kind of like, it's reasonable, you know, because they don't force you to, like, lose weight. But if you're interested in, like, wanting to change your lifestyle, then they're like, okay, you can, like, book an appointment at the doctor's and whatever. But most people don't because we don't have fucking time. Smoking sexy style, Mark. Is there an A rank? Is there also an S rank? No. That would be really funny if they would actually make it into that. You have an S rank blood work. You got an S on your blood work. Excellent, Mana. Excellent blood work. And also we had to undergo, like, a fucking we had to do x-rays and shit. Oh yeah, you have such clear lungs. You get an S for that. Professional masticator. Ew, why does that remind me of Gwyneth Paltrow? Like, was it Gwyneth Paltrow? Who is that mom that, like, choose the food for their child? Was it Gwyneth Paltrow? Or was it a different crazy mom? They would chew the food for the kid, and then like that, they would put that chewed food into their child's mouth. No, yes, I know, Gory. That's what birds do, but a human did it. Who is that fucking crazy celebrity? Let me look that up. Celebrity chewing food for baby. That was Alicia Silverstone, apparently. That's Alicia Silverstone feeding baby pre-chewed food. Oh, bro, what the hell? Oh, wait, that's what baby food is for, isn't it? Why are these motherfuckers so crazy, bro? Gwyneth Paltrow, Alicia Silverstone, these motherfuckers. Yeah, probably some rich. Yeah, indeed, Dayton Alpaca. It is indeed a rich white lady. I'd fail my mastication mark due to I'd fail my mastication mark due to TMJ. Wait, you have TMJ, bro? That's a little bit scary, isn't it? Hear me out. They should make a sticker chart instead of ranks. That would also be really cool. But the thing here is that we have stamp cards, you know? We have stamp cards. To get, like, for example, if you've like purchased a service like this many times, you'll get, like, a fucking discount, you know? I do that with my nail salon. Except, like, we don't do the paper stamp card, we do it online, you know, the application line. So I just, like, scan the QR code to get the stamp. Gwyneth Paltrow is the lady who had the vegan scented. Ah, yeah, she's the yes. She had the vagine scented candle. Yeah.
Donald Trump is not using tariffs as an industrial policy. He's not going to reindustrialize.
Very healthy to give your baby diseases via your spit. Yeah.
It's fake.
Yeah.
It's a myth. It's a talking point.
Let me see that that what's the exact name for the Gwyneth Paltrow? Oh yeah, the candle literally is literally named "This smells like my vagina candle." And there's a review about it. We tried the vagina candle and we really liked it. Why does this look like in a fever dream, bro? Product description: with a funny, gorgeous, sexy, and beautifully unexpected scent. This candle is made with geranium, citrusy bergamot, and cedar absolutes, juxtaposed with damask rose and ambrette seed to put us in mind of fantasy, seduction, and a sophisticated warmth. Wait. This is not Gwyneth Paltrow's one. This is the brand Heretic. Where's the Goop one? Goop. Oh yeah, okay. It is actually "This smells like my vagina." Okay. Oh my goodness. Why am I looking at this? Holy shit. Okay, okay. We're getting sidetracked again.
He's using tariffs. One,
I think this is what Marx meant by commodity fetishism. Yes and no, but yeah, I mean, to put it into context, maybe yes. What the hell is she putting up there? Smells like bergamot, apparently. When will we get a candle that smells like a homeless person? Oh my god, bro. I can't handle the hard stuff. Okay, but does the stamp give the same satisfaction as getting a star sticker on the sticker chart? Okay, I mean, you know, it's a little bit close, but I guess that is a winner. Nothing trumps having a sticker, like a sticker star on your sticker chart. That's the best. The only next step for Goop is a smegma. If they have a "This smells like my vagina" candle, I implore them to also make a "This smells like my balls" or "This smells like my dick." Why? I don't understand why, like, she had to make these. When I think these are like rebranded Walmart candles anyway. Just take off the fucking label on it and then put like "This smells like my vagina." This smells like fucking capitalism, bitch. Smells like ligma. Smells like vagina dentata. Hakuna Matata. Why opt for Hakuna Matata when you get vagina dentata, you know?
to raise revenue so he can cut taxes further on the rich and on corporations.
It smells like capitalism. It's just shit. But that's not, yeah, but that's true.
Which is a regressive tax. It's removing a tax burden off of
Vagina candles in the patriarchy, a dialectical analysis.
capital onto labor. He's using taxes too.
Gotta go. Good luck finishing the last 20 minutes with 1 hour sidetracking. That is true. We have like 20 minutes more. But yes, good luck with your day, monster rubber duck. Monster Rubber Duck. What? Why is this your... Okay, I like your name. All right, have a good day. I literally covered my wall with the water I was drinking because of that.
As a form of blackmail, as his economic advisor Stephen Myron said, to force other countries to pay the United States tribute for access to the U.S. market.
And wouldn't it be like smells like capitalism, and then they took the shit sample, the shit smell sample from Trump's stool. From Trump's stool sample, bro.
He wants to pressure these countries that are occupied by the U.S., like South Korea.
I think he has the smelliest shit because this guy doesn't eat a fucking vegetable.
In Japan, Germany, he's going to say, if you want our soldiers to stay there, you need to pay.
I bet people would buy that. Like, I'm pretty sure like JD Vance would like decorate his entire home of that candle.
Pay us money.
This is how my senpai smells. Let the smell of my senpai emanate from in my entire room.
To reduce your...
It's literally just the shit of whoever is the president at the time. That is true too. Yeah. Different flavored, different undertones, different notes of shit, you know.
Trade surplus with us. You have to buy more goods from the U.S. He's using tariffs for political reasons.
Eating meat not eating a vegetable in your entire fucking life to own the libs. Getting colon cancer to own the libs, bro.
To pressure other countries to go along with what he wants. But
that will surely trigger the vegans. Wait, what the fuck
is happening and why? Today we'll
import all of these intermediate goods in order to develop the actual...
Vance wants a new couch candle smell. What the fuck?
Well, the factories and the technologies that they need, because the U.S., if they want to reindustrialize, they have to make all of these factories. They have to create all of this equipment.
Putin poops in a suitcase so no one takes his poo samples. What the fuck?
All of these machines.
For real?
But they don't even make...
Really ridiculous.
The screws and the gears and all of the parts, as that guy was just explaining, for the machine. So let's say the U.S. wants to create cell phones in the U.S. Well, the U.S. is going to have to import all of the
Listen up, liberal. My wife left me, blows Tesla up.
Machine tools, which China makes, to make those phones. The U.S. is going to have to import all of the semiconductor machines that are used for the lower level semiconductors, because the U.S. is a world leader in very advanced semiconductors, in designing them, but not in manufacturing them, and certainly not in manufacturing what are known as the legacy chips locally. China, mainland China, actually is the world's leader in what are known as legacy chips, which is not the most advanced, 7 nanometer and smaller chips, but the average chips that are in most low cost electronics.
Yeah.
The U.S. would have to import all of the intermediate goods in order to develop that locally. So the U.S. trade deficit would increase. So, I mean, everything
that
Trump is doing
sense,
is just, honestly, I do think at the end of the day that it's not simple enough to say that it's simply idiotic, that the only reason this is happening is Trump is stupid. But I do think that's part of it.
Yeah.
I think actually one of the factors is that Trump hasn't studied history. He
just doesn't know how it works.
Surrounded by people who have never studied history.
He's surrounded by yes men too.
Their understanding of the world is from
dumb yes men,
Fox News and Twitter, and they don't understand what it would actually take to industrialize the United States. It would take basically a socialist revolution to reindustrialize the US.
There's an interest.
So is it? So they're trying to bring back industrialization in the United States. So the rumors about JD Pondon is actually true. They would need a socialist revolution for that to happen. Hey yo, let's go. Let's support our comrade JD Pondon.
A video
for his dreams of reinvigorating the reindustrialization of the United States,
which is making the rounds, which a Chinese
seeing Trump makes me understand why more why the Khmer Rouge existed, and I say fuck humanity is dumb. Yeah. Trump's idea of being good at business involves not paying companies for their materials on his real estate projects and then dragging out their lawsuits in court until they give up. Yeah. That's the modus operandi of a fucking con man.
TikToker addresses the US directly, and he says, you don't need tariffs. What you need is a revolution.
Yeah.
During this period of exchange, we took, and trade is, as much as possible, both parties look to exchange equivalents. And
like
he's
that,
saying
the TikToker said they rob you blind and you thank them for it. Stupid.
that, during this period of industrialization, we gained wealth, and then we took all this wealth and we turned it into public wealth, and our lives are better. And in the meantime, everything that was acquired on your part in terms of your super profits was siphoned straight up to the top, and they bought yachts and mansions with swimming pools, and you are left with
JD
nothing except drug addiction and no health insurance. And so I think this is a very, very real and accurate analysis. But I want to come back to this notion of industrialization and financialization. As you point out, the intermediate goods, if they wanted to reindustrialize, would also have to be imported from China. And of course, we know that Trump himself doesn't really have any experience in manufacture. I believe, a person's background influences their worldview. Trump is a person who worked primarily in real estate. His family were slumlords. If you're gaining or if you're, collecting rent, there is no supply chain when it comes to, rent. And there is no supply chain when it comes.
Because they're fucking parasites. Hello, Mana. I love your voice, and you're such an amazing singer. Thank you, Scormerk. Welcome to the chat.
Comes to established real estate or buildings, that doesn't require supply chain, but manufacturing actually does require a
geopolitical economy report does good. Yeah, because I wanted to have like a clear-headed analysis of this, not just some fucking sensationalist bullshit, But I don't want to do it by myself because I wanna share the headache. But it's a good thing. It's a good discussion though. That's all.
And consider.
It's just the implications of what are these things are the things that their the decisions of the United States, how they affect the rest of us. Fuck. Especially because I get paid in dollars too. Like, man, the dollar is devaluing so fast. So that's where I get like I get paid in dollars from DistroKid, from the music streaming service. So there we go.
Supply chain. And I think
I would get affected by this.
That Trump, having come out of the financial class, doesn't understand how complex it is to do industrial development. And at the same time, the United States itself...
Maybe he would just realize, like, folks, if you want the United States to be an industrial power one more time, once again, my brain is not braining. Folks, we must have a socialist revolution. We will do whatever it takes to reindustrialize and reinvigorate the U.S. economy. So, today, I will give you an executive order, and now you shall read Mao. I will make Marx, Engels, Lenin, and Mao your default requirement reading for like first graders. Let's speed run the socialist revolution.
Is in the monopoly stage of capital, which is to say that, as Peter Thiel says, competition.
Executive McDonald's order. Reminder to stay hydrated. Thank you, timeout seeker. Oh yeah, that's true. But you know what? I'm gonna just end this and then drink my water later.
Is for losers. These are large corporations. They don't want competition. They don't want markets. They simply want monopoly rents. And you can see this, if you look at GM, GM makes cars, but largely it's shifting to selling loans. Same thing with Amazon. You log on to Amazon, immediately you'll get an offer from Amazon if you want to take out a loan to buy what you need, which is what happens under monopoly capitalism, because the workers are so immiserated they can no longer afford the goods that are being produced. I mean, even if you want to buy a burrito, there's an app where you can log on, order your burrito, and then you can pay for it in 5 easy installments. And so this continual financialization of the economy points out.
Oh, for fucking real, Platinum. Like, the yen is also, oh my god, like, I don't even want to talk about it. Jesus Christ.
That, this is already a done deal. We cannot, turn back the tide. So in this context, as you point out, the idea is to, raise revenue to offset tax cuts. They're using it as a negotiating tactic to quote unquote get better trade deals. They claim that they're going to reduce consumer prices, but I don't think that's going to happen. It's actually going to be the opposite. They're certainly not going to be able to reshore industry, certainly not to the extent that they want. And then, of course,
DoorDash just added like 4 payments thing, right? What? How do you like install payments a fucking food order? Holy shit, bro.
I think underneath this
only in America, I guess,
all is this idea that they're going to somehow contain and beat China. And I think that is a large part of the underlying strategy. I want to show you that
unless the United States will also have centralized planning and planned economy and a socialist revolution, that would never happen.
This little clip from Peter Thiel and get your comments on it.
They're talking about now seems where we're going, where you need a very drastic reset with China. In theory, you need a reset with other people, but what we really need to get them to do is also reset things with China. I think the rough numbers are that about a quarter of the U.S. trade deficit is bilaterally with China, but another quarter is indirectly with China. So China is sort of half the problem, and so it's selling components that then get reassembled elsewhere, and then China is the geopolitical rival. So there's a way in which if people in Mercedes in Germany are selling cars to the U.S., we might want to have those pretty well-paying jobs in the U.S. and not in Germany. And there are all kinds of sort of mercantilist policies that at the margins Germany engages in. But, it's probably not going to repurpose the Mercedes factory to build tanks to invade the U.S. or something like this. Yeah. Whereas this, this sort of dual use problem is the problem with China. And so there's sort of there are ways the economic relationship with China is fairly efficient. If people working for $1.50 an hour in a Foxconn factory, we don't really want to get those jobs in Wisconsin. But it is this geopolitical rivalry where that's in the background, where that you have to somehow factor in that the economists never are able to factor in properly with China. And so I think, the I don't know. I'm not sure I would call this the optimistic plan, but the reset in trade that seems desirable to me would be that we radically change the relationship with China, and we sort of induce a lot of other countries to radically change their relationship with China, and that's how we. And maybe that's how we build a stronger Western alliance of the free world.
Yeah.
So Ben, your comments. Mercedes-Benz is not going to invade the United States, but the inference there being that China is. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so many things. Like claiming that he said the quote is that Mercedes-Benz is not making tanks to invade the US, but then China could make tanks to invade the US. That's so crazy. China,
right? That's like, wait, what are you trying to insinuate, bro? Okay. Like, literally, the US is dropping bombs to, like, fucking children right now via, you know, their support. Uh, their support on that fake state cosplaying as a Middle Eastern country, you know?
has not been involved in a war since 1979. That's ridiculous. China's
Whereas the
not planning on
United
invading
States, like, they have military bases everywhere. Like, everywhere. Where they're not even needed, you know?
the US. So many other things he said, like this honestly racist stereotype that all Chinese workers are making $1 an hour in a Foxconn factory is completely absurd. I mean, it was already grossly exaggerated from the first place decades ago, but today, I mean, manufacturing wages in China have skyrocketed, and today they're higher than any other country surrounding China in Southeast Asia, higher than the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam. Vietnam and China have had the fastest growing wages in the manufacturing sector. The only countries that they're higher
But
in
then,
are
you know, do you know, like, JD Vance would see this, watch this, and like look at like listen to whatever Ben Norton is saying, and then he would still infer it as like, oh yeah, but they're still peasants though. Like, what? Shut the fuck up, bro.
are in South Korea and Japan, but obviously they developed much earlier. And of course, they were not under attack by the US. They were close US allies.
Yeah.
They were allowed to engage in these kind of developmentalist policies that China was not allowed to for much of its revolutionary history. But anyway, so I mean, this idea from Peter Thiel and other people that all workers in Chinese factories are just like slaves getting paid nothing. It's absurd. It's completely ridiculous. It's actually cope. It's copium.
Yeah.
They don't want to acknowledge that the reason that
true.
China is so advanced in manufacturing is not because workers are paid little. They're actually paid very well, especially when you adjust for the purchasing power parity.
Especially
When you
the
look
high
at the
skilled ones.
purchasing
I mean,
power
everyone is
of
high
the
skilled,
Chinese
so.
currency in yuan, you can see that workers in Chinese factories are probably making like maybe $40 an hour at
Oh,
equivalent
shit,
if you
yeah.
actually adjust for the purchasing power of the yuan. It's not $1.
Okay.
It's ridiculous. But they don't want to acknowledge that because then they would have to acknowledge that the Chinese system is much
Yeah, because the thing is, like, they don't account for the purchasing power and also inflation.
better. It's objectively better when it comes to actually producing tangible goods that make people's lives better. That China can produce everything more efficiently at a lower cost and can simply outcompete US monopoly corporations that don't want competition because, as Peter Thiel himself admitted in an article in the Wall Street Journal, as he said, quote, competition is for losers, end quote. He argued in defense of monopolies. He said monopolies are good, and he boasted that the business model of Silicon Valley is establishing monopolies because when you have monopolies, you can charge monopoly rents. You don't have any competitors pushing down your profit.
So much for the free market bullshit. What the hell? Okay, okay. So this kind of logic coincide with their idea of the free market, when they literally expose themselves. They just want a fucking monopoly. They don't give a fuck about free market. Who? It's enslavement by subscription. Wait, don't tell me Germany did in fact use tank against the US. Gonna be honest, it would be kind of awesome if Trump just turned around and said, "We are now a vassal state for the CCP." The game Monopoly was originally called Landlords and was made by a woman named Lizzie Maggie. But to the surprise of no one, a man stole the idea and sold it, but the original game had counterpart called Prosperity. Oh. If you get paid $1, but that dollar allows you to pay for housing, food, goodies, and more, then that dollar is a decent wage. Yeah, because it's a different calculation for like a living wage, right? Because it needs to, it doesn't exist in a fucking vacuum. Right? You need to analyze it based on the person's like purchasing power within the given context of their own country. So even if, for example, they get paid like what, $7 an hour, but that $7 an hour of payment can actually afford them a life, you know? They don't have to scramble. They don't have to get another job that pays $7 an hour to like be able to make ends meet, right? Usually it's enough, you know, like the people in China have just one, they just have one job, you know, and then they're afforded housing, like affordable housing, affordable healthcare, affordable education. So I don't know.
Profit margins. Now, as for his talking point that attacking China can unite the West, he said it clearly. It's not just economic, as he put it. It's geopolitical, and he also framed it in a kind of cultural way. I mean, Peter Thiel is a far right fascistic figure.
Yeah.
He is deeply authoritarian. He basically, I mean, he has written openly against liberal democracy, and you know, people on the left, socialists, are also very critical of bourgeois capitalist democracy. The idea that democracy, in scare quotes, means that every 4 years you have an election where you choose between one billionaire-backed candidate or another billionaire-backed candidate, and they both, you know, back Israel's crimes against humanity and bomb Yemen, and that's obviously not democracy. That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But he has a far-right critique of liberal democracy, which is basically, we need a kind of Caesar figure. We need a kind of Hitlerian figure. This is how Peter Thiel sees the world. And let's not forget that U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance worked for Peter Thiel. He was basically created in a political petri dish by
the
Thiel.
Eyeliner guy.
Thiel funded J.D. Vance.
Political petri dish. That is an apt description of J.D. Vance, though.
His 2022 Senate campaign in Ohio, he gave him more than $15 million for his campaign. That's the main reason that he won that campaign. And J.D. Vance is really the link between the Trump White House and Silicon Valley, the direct link, because Vance is friends with all of those oligarchs. He worked in Silicon Valley. He worked for Peter Thiel. He portrays himself as, you know, like a populist who supports the working class. He worked in venture capital. Peter Thiel also now is rebranding himself as a great manufacturer. He's a venture capitalist. Look at the companies that Peter Thiel has invested in as an early seed investor. They're not manufacturing goods. The only manufacturing companies, in scare quotes, that only major ones that Peter Thiel has invested in are in the military industrial complex. Palmer Luckey and all of those also far right Silicon Valley guys, that's the only actual manufacturing they do, is manufacturing of weapons to prepare for war on China. And what unites all of them, Thiel, Palmer Luckey, all these Silicon Valley freaks, is that they see China as the big threat to Western Christian white civilization. It's not just
destroy it.
that they see China as a threat.
Actually not. It will fall because it's gonna self-destruct anyway. It doesn't need destroying because it's already crumbling onto its own. It will crumble in its own contradictions, like, you know, because life is dialectical and you can't it is inevitable.
Threat to their corporate interests as these monopoly.
That's offensive to freaks. In China, the government doesn't change, but the policy does. In the US, the policy doesn't change, but the color of the government does. Yep. And I think it's more important that the policy would change rather than, you know, the government's because they have the same exact foreign policy anyway. Domestic and foreign, rather. Prosperity was a game where everyone benefited and was a critique by a feminist of the housing system in the day and how to set the system right. That is actually, it sounds like a cool game. Hello there, cuties and based beauties. Radiant radicals and cunning comrade. Hello, Neuro.
Capitalists who openly say that monopolies are good and they don't want Chinese competition. It's not just that. It's also they see China as a threat to white civilization.
White civilization. I don't give a shit who runs the government as long as they do a good shit that follows what the people want. And exactly.
Civilization, which they see as superior. They say that.
Yeah.
Read Peter Thiel's books. Listen to when he talks about Western civilization. They are supremacists. He
waxes poetics.
They think the West is superior, and they see China as non-white, Asian, atheist, and communist. For them, it's everything they fear, and the far right in the U.S. has been preparing for years for this apocalyptic war on China to try to save white Western capitalism. For them, it's all part of the same combination. Of course, they're capitalists. Of course, they're following their economic interest, but it's even deeper than that. And this is why you listen to what he says, and he says, yeah, it's economic, but it's actually much deeper.
Yeah, and I think that, we should do an entire show on that topic itself. And certainly I think that we are moving towards war. War is the wall defibrillator for the, corpulent capitalist corpse when it starts to fibrillate and have a heart attack. But I absolutely agree with you. I think that, the tech bro dirtbag class is certainly gearing up for a civilizational, cultural, and apocalyptic war on China. But we'll have to do that on another occasion. Thank you so much, Ben.
Thank you, and thanks to the team at Breakthrough. Keep up the great work. It's always a pleasure.
And
that was a good discussion.
Finally, to balance out our show, we're happy to share with you a more upbeat final segment. This is the children's chorus from Xiamen No. 6 Public Middle School, who will sing in a cappella the song The Brightest Star in the Night Sky.
Hey,
the lyrics go, whenever I'm lost in the night, the brightest star in the night sky will light my way forward.
All these children are paid actresses because, China could not be this. Nobody would volunteer to do this. Okay, it's just music. That is actually really cool though. They're using books as percussions. That's cool. Children don't exist in China, obviously. We welcome the Chinese Central. Please save us from the United States. Fuck. Their voices are so nice. It's gonna lull me to sleep. It's 2:30 a.m. here. Okay, wait. No, they ended it. Okay, fair. Children don't exist in China, obviously. Hopefully the Uyghurs will be indoctrinated fast enough to participate soon. In China, you're not allowed to have children. I read that on Radio Asia. they got defunded. Wait, where is Radio Free Asia now? Not as free anymore because they don't have the USAID anymore. They don't have the USAID funding. It makes me wonder how many takes this took. Yeah, they were pretty cool. I really like the percussive, the book percussions. They're so well choreographed. China has literate, well-adjusted, talented students, but at what cost? At what cost? They're not like, brain rotting and following Asmongold, complaining about woke DEI garbage. Yeah, that's the cost. The spread of wokeness, because nobody is counterbalancing them. Because they're busy actually getting education. The education is not important. The most important thing is you bootlick the Asmongold. So you can get and then be a streamer and then get sponsorships from Asmongold's companies. I don't know. Does he have any? He has some stuff, right? Yeah, that's the business plan. Bootlick your way to success. I love that they're using books, including the sliding of them. This is lovely. Guess what the kids of Israel is singing about wiping out? Yeah, I know, right? What the fuck? Understand, children are stinky. That is true. I've been a babysitter of my nephews when they were little. Now my nephews are taller than me. How the fuck do I have 6'2" foot? How do I have nephews that are 180, 185 centimeters tall? That's 6 foot. How do you do that? 6 feet and 2 inches. 6'2" rather. What about my right to die of tooth decay? What about your right to smear fucking blood on the wall, on your fucking walls, because you couldn't get asked to go book an appointment to the dentist? Girl, in school videos and singing, DEI has gone too far. Okay, Ems, my brain is literally getting fried. I'm sorry we couldn't do more videos today, but I'm cooked. My brain cells are as cooked as the USA China diplomatic relations. Okay, so we're gonna have to extend this again. No, so I've been reminded of that fucking ass. I know, yeah. Just a daily reminder to brush your teeth and fucking go to your dentist appointment, okay? So if you don't want to be like that, if you don't want to be like Asmongold, you don't want to live in fucking squalor, take care of yourselves out there, folks. All right, Ames, I'm too brain dead to do this, to do any more videos. But yes, we once again have looking at the trash can of ideology. To the trash can we call ideology. The dumpster fire, in fact, called ideology. And I will be seeing you next week again on another more fun stuff, We're going to be watching Evenings in, what's that? I forgot the name. It's too long. What was that again? The next Soviet film that we're gonna watch next Wednesday will be Evenings on a Farm near Dikanka. So if any of you imps know what that is, it's a Soviet film. But that will be that's the in the playlist for next week, okay? So that will be what we're going to be doing next week. Hopefully I will stream like a day more, but I'm not sure yet. Because I might be releasing a new cover, but I'm not sure yet. Thanks for listening, Ryan. Good luck with the record. Thank you. Yes, tomorrow and on Sunday I'm gonna be recording because I'm gonna release the stuff either last week, last Sunday of April, or maybe on Wednesday, like the last Wednesday of April, April 30th, basically. But anyway, Ims, thank you so much for sticking around and discussing random shit with me while we react to the current state of global trade. Holy fuck, we're all gonna get fucked, but at least we're having fun discussions in between. All right, so I'll be seeing you on Wednesday, Imps. If you're up for another Soviet watch along, let's go. But yeah, that would be all for me today. Let me see if I can. You know what? I don't know what to do. It's 3 a.m. and I need to go to bed. Like I can't do any, like, if I have friends that are online today, like I'm sorry. I need to go. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Bye, Imps. Later, motherfuckers. Bye. Goodbye.